Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Director Watch, an AwardsWatch podcast that attempts to get inside the mind of cinema's gray as auteurs and explore what drives them, and maybe we go on a few unrelated tangents along the way. I'm Ryan McQuade, your executive editor here at AwardsWatch, and joining me, as always, is my AOL chat buddy and my co-host, Jay Ledbetter.
Ryan, we're talking Closer, which made me, for some reason, have this weird impulse to go look at. In my mind, I was just like, I feel like there's a lot of songs called Closer. I feel like that's something people go back to a lot. And sure enough,
music corner already at the top of the show.
We got Chainsmokers, Nine Inch Nails, Indigo Girls, of course, Closer to Find. Neo has a song called Closer. Kings of Leon. Joy Division has a whole album called Closer. I mean, Closer to the Sun, Slightly Stupid, Hello. I mean, it's all over the place. And I think we need to litigate the definitive Closer song before we do anything.
Well, maybe our guest can help out with that. We're joined today.
That's what he's here for.
That's what he's here for. That's what
is for nonsense.
It's for, yeah. Well, he's been here before. He knows what the show's about.
The answer is Nine Inch Nails, by the way. So
yes,
let's just.
That's your answer, or do you think that's the answer?
I think that's the definitive answer.
Okay. Well, we're joined today with our guest Josh Parham. Josh, do you want to answer him up at the top of this episode of what is the definitive Closer song?
I mean, I guess it would have to be Nine Inch Nails because that's the character that Clive Owen plays, right?
Yeah, because it was inspired by it, right?
Well, he literally types out he's got 9 inches in the movie.
He's got 9 pounds.
He's got 9 pounds.
Which, why is he even saying inches in the first place? Isn't he British when they say?
I mean, we could go through the vocabulary and grammar of that chat exchange for 3 hours if we.
It was very confusing. Yeah.
Now, to be fair, if it was 9 pounds, holy moly! Also, it wouldn't be pounds.
Attention, yes.
Also, it wouldn't be pounds either. Because
exactly
because of that metric system. So
well, let's talk about it. Is the value is its value 9 pounds, and what is the monetary exchange of a pound per
appendage?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just don't know how valuable 9 pounds is in.
I don't want to go down this rabbit hole.
It was also 2004, so it's inflation.
Oh, that's too with inflation.
Yeah. Well,
Biden's
that's true.
Inflation? Are you kidding?
Right. I'm telling you.
Well, does that change?
Have you seen egg
now?
Prices lately? Oh
does that change now with like the Brexit and everything at the time too?
Oh yeah,
like,
that's
that really affects it. Yeah.
The exchange rates are just a mess now.
It's too much. Too much.
Yes.
We
don't know how much his penis is worth anymore.
Yeah, it's true.
There's no way to know.
No.
Yeah.
There's simply no way to know.
We're here to talk about Closer.
5 minutes in. Great.
5 minutes. We're like 90 seconds.
We're 90 seconds into this. This is always what this show is about, Josh. We're in the penultimate episode of the Mike Nichols series. Super excited that Josh is here. Jay, I'm super excited to talk about this movie.
Yeah. This is a hell of a thing.
First time watch for you, right?
First time watch.
Oh my God.
Wow.
It is. It does have Ryan, we've talked about my experience with movies where I wasn't allowed to watch anything.
Yeah.
And so weirdly, the biggest gap
is like this. Is this
99 to 2005.
Okay.
Where it was like I wasn't allowed to watch anything and I didn't know how to find a workaround to actually watch stuff.
You're like a negotiation tactic with the folks, or just to watch it in general.
Cleverness.
Yeah. Well, you're a pretty clever guy, so that's kind of
very clever.
A late bloomer on the clever. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. As soon as I got that laptop, boom, done.
Boom, done. Torrent, pirate on the seas.
And also back then they had the DVD things on the laptops. It was golden era.
Oh, you can go to like Blockbuster and you could put your DVD into your laptop and watch it that way. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I just love it. Yeah, I love that you were
I
able
do
to
kind of. I really do kind of miss having.
I had a lot of DVDs
laptop.
that looked like the DVD in the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Remember that? Oh
man,
that's
some
one
of the
my
best.
favorites.
That's one of the
like
best.
A pirated DVD.
Yeah,
that's so good.
That was great. Fincher knows what he's doing.
He's so good with home releases.
Though I heard that new 4K for Panic Room isn't that great though. Yeah,
interesting.
I heard some stuff ahead of time. And
Shame on you, Fincher.
Yeah. Well, if anybody would be good at that stuff, it's him.
I don't actually trust Fincher because he likes to go back and remove stuff that he considers to be
tinkerer.
flaws, but it's like he removes film grain.
Like Jim
He's got a
Cameron.
James Cameron thing going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Jim. Big
I've heard the
disappointment.
Cameron 4Ks are terrible.
Yeah.
I haven't watched them though, so I
Well,
can't speak to it. But
thank God most of those movies are on Blu-ray, but the True Lies one, I think, looks atrocious.
And that one hurts because people have been waiting for it for
yeah,
so
There's no
long.
Blu-ray
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
of the film. Yeah, it's just a
Crazy.
DVD or you have to stream it, which
Yeah.
sucks. So
I've got a scan of the film print. It looks really good.
yeah.
I mean it's rough, but it looks so good. Oh my god.
But that's kind of what makes that movie great. It's like having a little bit of a rough edge to it. Anyway, we're really on a fast track this episode.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about Closer. Mike Nichols, 2004 film. Really interesting film. And you're right, Jay. Jay, you'll be I don't know if you'll be happy to know this fact, but you'll be confused as to know why Ryan saw this in the theater in 2004. And so kind of like balanced it out, buddy. You weren't able to even see it at all, and I saw it in the theater. So there you go. There's like probably a happy medium. Josh, before we get your thoughts on Closer and we dive into this wacko movie, we got to talk about Mike Nichols for you, buddy. And what you like about him, what you don't like about him, and your just thoughts on this guy that we've been doing this series on. What do you think about him, Josh?
Yeah, I really wish I was more knowledgeable about Mike Nichols in general because I do think that he really is one of the most fascinating filmmakers that I've been able to watch their filmography of. One of the things I really just loved about him was he has such a great attention to character and how to work with actors, and that is a very underrated skill when it comes to directing. Everybody thinks about, like, the big camera moves and the huge swings you make technically speaking, but the ability to get great performances from actors is very underrated but very crucial. And I think every single movie of his knows how to gather an ensemble and just execute every skill they have perfectly. And at the same time, using the camera and that environment that obviously inherited from theater to apply it into a cinematic landscape. And I really do appreciate that. So even though I haven't seen every movie of his, I think all of them are great demonstrations of his ability to tell a story cinematically, but also in a way that doesn't necessarily call attention to itself. And I think that he has made some of my all-time favorite movies too because of that. So yeah, I'm a big Mike Nichols fan. I'm not, a huge super fan, to be honest, but I don't know every detail about him. But from what I have seen, really, really admire his work.
He's a fascinating guy. Every time he zigs, he zags. And
He's made some bad movies.
he's made some bad movies,
and a
but
lot of
he's
good
also-
ones.
but a lot of good ones. And it's been just a really fascinating series. Before we get also into Closer, Jay, last episode we
sir.
did was well, it was Primary Colors,
Primary colors.
1998. This is 2004. So, but Big Mike has had a couple of things. I never gave him a nickname this entire series until now. He's Big Mike.
Big Mike.
Big Mike.
Really stretching there.
You know what? So be it. Big Mike. He had a couple films and a big event happen in this
He
time
did.
period.
This is actually a huge period for him.
This is a very big period for him before Closer. So Jay, which one do you want to talk about first? The 2000?
Probably the one that came next.
Yeah, which was?
What Planet Are You From? Probably the worst movie he directed. I mean, just abominable.
yeah.
Have either of y'all seen that movie?
Okay. I was gonna watch this ahead of time, but then I remembered what it was about and saw the trailer. And so I just skipped it. And
I mean, it
that's fair. I
you
want to
go
say
into
that's
it
fair.
knowing that it's bad, and then it's
And then you watch it.
worse than you thought it was going to be. It
Yeah.
is so bad.
Josh, have you seen
I've heard
this?
I have not seen it. That is one of those movies that exists only as like a poster and a trailer from when I was 10 years old and thinking like that looks weird, but it's rated R and I'm not allowed to see it. And then as I got older, it's like I have no interest in really watching it, but it always exists in like this nostalgic part of my mind as a film that I was aware of but never saw because it felt a little taboo for me to see it at 10. But yeah, the reputation has not led me to think it should be a priority for me to seek out.
Yeah.
It is such a bizarre movie. Just as I talked about this being a big era for him, it was almost a massive era for him. He went out of his way to approach Steven Spielberg about directing American Beauty. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, he did.
Spielberg and the other
I could see that.
producers
Yeah.
were like, what they claim to have said behind the scenes was, rather than let Nichols make it, we were looking for the next Mike Nichols, was their approach to that film. I don't know if they found the next Mike Nichols,
That's
but
an insult to Mike
that was
Nichols to
that was a
compare him and
huge.
I mean, but to be
Sam
fair,
Mendes.
the movie was extremely successful. So
Yeah,
like we could
they
talk
they
about Sam
won.
Mendes in the
Yeah.
movie now, but
I mean, they
like, at the
did.
time, it was a good idea.
And to be fair, Sam Mendes has made some. He's made like one good movie, and the rest are, or like two good movies actually, and the rest are kind of stinkers. So
That's save it for our San Mendes series.
no, we're never doing that.
But he tossed around doing
Though I do
directing The
love-
Reader at one point.
I do love Road to Perdition though,
Yeah, Red Position's good.
and Skyfall, because I'm a Bond fan. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'll come on and defend half of Spectre.
Yeah.
I could
You
do
know what?
that.
Yeah, that's right. I will give. I am more of a defender.
The
of
first half of
Spectre
Spectre is quite good.
than- yeah.
It's like the best Bond movie that Daniel Craig ever made is that
And then
first half of Spectre. But then you have to contend with
Then there's the second
everything
half of
else,
Spectre.
else that happens
unfortunately.
after
Yeah,
that.
but also it's like, oh, okay. Then the second half turns into
Fortunately,
like
movies
a,
have two halves.
turns into like a
Yeah.
Roger Moore movie, and you're like, oh, okay. Now I know what this franchise is. You know what I mean? Like,
Let me just tell you though, the most damning thing about What Planet Are You From? Mike Nichols was paid $8 million to direct What Planet Are You From?
he loves money.
The film grossed $6 million.
No, that's not true.
It couldn't even recoup.
Did it make only 6? I thought it
That's
made like
what I saw.
14. Is what I got here. But
Maybe
still, that's not
internationally. Maybe it was 6 domestic, and I don't know.
Jay, this is a $55 to $75 million budget.
Yeah,
film.
they said it cost well over 60,
Yeah.
and in this was Garry Shandling, like front to back, his passion project, and in his mind he viewed it as this like Albert Brooks low budget, really personal, weird movie, and it turned into this absolute disaster. Shandling and Nichols hated each other. And mostly it was mostly Nichols. Nichols was apparently like kind of nasty making this movie. He very early on realized that Garry Shandling can't act, which is, if you watch the movie, apparent. But it created real, friction and tension on set, and it is so bad. Like I almost can't talk about how bad it is. I think it is it's worse than Day of the Dolphin. It's worse than, and anything he's made, I think, because it looks cheap. The worst thing I can say about this movie is that while I was watching it, I was like, this feels like it could have been directed by the guy who directed Dude, Where's My Car? Like that was the energy that the
Who's
movie.
that guy?
I don't know. We're doing a series on him next, but
Okay.
I can't remember his name.
I'm gonna look that up while you're talking.
But so he was wounded after that one, both personally and professionally. And what does he do after that? I think is one of the most fascinating and shrewd moves that a director could have made at that time. He made an HBO movie. This was right after The Sopranos. This was when prestige TV was sort of becoming a thing. And he directed what I think is a very good movie called Wit. Have y'all seen Wit?
No.
I've not
but I
seen
wanted
it
to.
all. I've seen it in bits and pieces because I remember when that movie premiered on HBO and my mom loved it. Like she watched it all the time and cried during it. And so I knew what it was about, but I've never seen the whole thing.
Again, wanted to put it on. Ran out of time this week.
I'm telling you, it's good. I was shocked how good I thought it was. It was originally supposed to be directed by Rob Reiner.
Oh,
Um,
buddy.
it was
Well,
Could have
I
helped
mean,
Reiner
Reiner.
had some good stuff, but Rob Reiner in
No, it could have helped
2000
him.
whatever it was.
I'll say that Rob Reiner's not the first name that I would think of, but I actually do think Rob Reiner is sneakily like one of the most important directors
Oh,
in like the entire history of cinema.
oh, his
But
run
yeah,
in the
not the
80s
first
and
name I would
90s.
think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
incredible. But like he was on a low streak. He probably could have used a movie like that, to be
Yeah.
fair. Because he's
yeah,
still on that streak right now.
yeah. He's
Yeah.
he's on one,
He's
but
lost.
Emma Thompson was the one. HBO was like, Emma Thompson's in this. This is an Emma Thompson movie. Everything after that we'll figure out. And Emma Thompson had just had a kid, and so she said, "We're filming in London. That's it." And Rob Reiner's wife was pregnant, and he was like, "I can't leave LA. Let somebody else do it." And Nichols again was kind of licking his wounds, so he agreed to come on, and apparently just had a phenomenal time making this very, very sad, depressing movie. It's based on this really unique play. The interesting thing about it is the addressing the camera, which is there is no the inner monologue is fully addressing the camera, and that's a huge part of where the drama is coming from because it is this very lonely literature or poetry professor who is dying of cancer, and it is completely unsentimental. It is, you think about terms of endearment or something where you have this weepy, but it's so sentimental. It's all about kind of the relationships that people have with each other and how those kind of disintegrate over time, and also how a disease like this, a condition like this, will bond people. This is not about that. This is about a lonely person coping with death and trying to address it from the angles of art, and through a lens of just like pure existential dread and acceptance. And it is very, very powerful. I like that a lot. I would recommend checking out Wit. I think it's very good. And then
And then he
after
has
that,
the big one.
the I would argue this is the second most second like highest regarded thing Nichols has made after The Graduate.
I would, well, I mean, Virginia Woolf is very up there too because
It's those are the three.
it's like
I
top
think.
three. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are the three.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But Angels in America is hugely important and impactful, and
Yeah.
again sort of propels prestige TV forward. And you know who was originally supposed to direct Angels in America as a two-part movie? Do you know,
Who?
Ryan?
No, I don't know, but I'm kind of nervous now that you're smiling.
It's Bobby Altman.
Oh, shit. Really?
Yeah, Kushner had been working on Angels in America with Robert Altman for a long time.
Oh, man.
Mm.
Well, Josh, I know you wouldn't
Well,
have been happy about that,
You know
but
that I am happy about how things turned out there, man.
We are going to do a bonus episode on Angels in
Angels in
America,
America.
so I'll kind of skip over a lot of that. But Josh, have you seen it? What do you think of it?
Have I seen Angels in America? What do you think? Yeah,
is
I've seen
water
Angels in
wet?
America.
You know
Yes,
what I mean?
I have seen it. I saw it when it premiered in 2003, which at the time felt like a very scandalous thing for 13-year-old me to be watching. Very complicated feelings, but yeah, hugely influential. And like, what can I say about that work? It's monumental. It's incredible. Like it's one of the greatest, not just miniseries, just I think pieces of art that has ever been produced and has so many profound things to say within that text. Yeah, it's amazing, and I definitely agree that of his work, it definitely should be labeled in the echelon of stuff like The Graduate and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
gonna
think it
give
is.
on my thoughts on it too much because, like Jay said, we are gonna do a bonus episode when the series is over, and we will release that out there for everyone. But it's such an important.
It's an essential Nichols work.
It is.
For
It's just not
sure.
obviously a film, so we're gonna it'll come out during the week or the week in between. It'll come in between the new episodes for this series and then the next series that we'll talk about. So you'll get a bonus episode dropping in the middle of the week talking about this gigantic event, not just for Nichols, but like Jay said, for prestige television, it is still one of the essential limited series of all time. Like it's like that. It's Roots. You know, I really think that like those 1-2 punch are like the essential limited series events that have now taken over where they are
The slap.
their own. They're
Was that the name of the show, or am I
which one?
No,
conflating
was
it
the
with
slap?
the Will Smith thing?
No, I think it was like
a
the
show
slap.
called The
That was the
Slap.
Zachary
Yeah.
Quinto thing.
Yeah. There you
Where
go.
he
Yeah.
slaps a kid.
Honestly, the other miniseries that I also thought about is just, and this is just me. Do you remember a show called The 10th Kingdom? Any of you remember this? No, of course not.
I think no.
This was just a big thing in my house where it was like a 10-part miniseries. It was like the longest miniseries I think ever produced at that
Yeah.
point. It was like on ABC.
I think it was
maybe. It was a
NBC?
fantasy thing,
It
something
was
like
like
that.
some.
Yeah.
It was one of
Big-
those
big
two.
fantasy.
I know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
Josh. Yeah.
But I remember because it was like so long. It was like 7 or 8 nights or something like that. It was a huge deal that this miniseries was so long in its length. So that was important to me, but yeah, not to anybody else.
No, but like the HBO TV movie to get back to Wit there for a second. Wit for a second there, Jay, is that was a movie that propelled them from the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s on this sort of run that HBO had where these became, I think that these TV movies really were the mold that created the streaming services. Like the way in which like Netflix and Apple operate.
I mean, The
are a
Sopranos,
lot.
but
Well,
yeah.
no, I'm talking about from the movie's perspective because the series, yes, they had done the series all the time. But I'm talking about the model to make movies like that and have an alternative to the system. Now they're considered movies on the screen, but these movies were separate than a theatrical release at this point. But it had, I mean, that's getting an Academy Award winning director and an Academy Award winning actress to come and do something like that. And that was rare. Now it's normal to see, like, I mean, today, like one of the announcements, like over the week was like, who's going to be in the Cape Fear television series reboot? And Presumed Innocence, like a couple last year with Jake Gyllenhaal, like all these stars are doing television now.
Yeah.
It wasn't
those are
the case back-
series though. Like
Yeah.
they don't make TV.
Yeah, they've
movies
they've
anymore.
replaced those with now they're 8 to 10 hour long quote unquote movies that where you're most of the time you're like, okay, so it sort of starts in episode 4.
Or it could have been 3 episodes if we really wanted to.
I mean,
Yeah.
how many HBO movies has Barry Levinson made?
Oh my God. He's like a household name doing that shit. Like I think he's making another one with them if I'm not mistaken. Or no, is he? No, he's doing that De Niro movie that's coming
Yeah,
out.
no,
where he
he's got a
plays-
real movie, like
Yeah.
quote unquote real movie
You're
coming
like,
out.
It's probably going to suck. Like,
Oh, it looks terrible. Yeah.
man, that's a guy I
Oh
would
wait,
never-
is that the one where De Niro plays 2 people?
Yeah.
Mhm, yeah.
Where he's like, he's double Bobby.
I
Double
was,
De Niro?
what are we doing?
So you're going to be there opening day, Jay?
I mean probably, but just
Hey,
out
look.
of sheer dark curiosity.
Look,
Yeah.
De Niro's got a new kid, you know. You got to buy diapers.
Jay, what if
somehow.
it's Barry Levinson's Capone?
I mean, look, I got a soft spot for Capone.
We do have a soft spot for Capone. We like that movie. That wasn't as bad as people thought it was. Like,
It's
Yeah,
just very
Josh.
it's just very weird.
yeah, it's very weird. Josh, did you ever see Capone with Tom Hardy
No.
You never watched it?
No.
during the pandemic? You never put on Capone?
I think it's got a lot of stuff going on. I'll be
It's got
honest.
it's got things in there.
I heard interesting things about it, but not enough for
Yeah,
me
it's
to
a little-
actually
it's-
go out and see it.
Well, you can probably rent it now. You know what I mean? You go. You don't have to go out. You were staying in.
I do not feel like giving my money to that movie at the
Well, you
moment.
don't have to. What if it's on a streaming service? Then it's
Hey.
for free.
I will
you
find
go.
something else to occupy my time.
Damn it, Josh, just watch it. It's not bad. No, but yeah, we'll talk about Angels in America here soon on the show.
Yeah, that'll be great.
That would be great. But we're here leading up to Closer because that's 2003 and this is 2004
Yeah.
where Closer comes out. And Josh, this is I don't know, did you see this when you were young too, Josh? Were you like me and got to see an inappropriate movie before you were supposed to? When did you see it?
I didn't see this movie in 2004. Actually, the inappropriate movie from this year I saw was Team America. That's the one
Hell
that I went to
yes.
go see.
Oh hell yeah! I mean,
Hell yeah.
that's an R-rated movie made for 13-year-olds. So.
That is
Yeah. Well, it's the South Park guy, so
that's a masterpiece.
It's really good, though.
Yeah.
Topical. The South Park guys and Kendrick Lamar are making a movie. That's
Can't
a thing,
wait.
right?
Can't wait.
Okay.
It's going to be the best movie of the year. Let's do it.
I'm a little. I think I've outgrown the South Park guys, honestly. But
I have
Team
not
America,
watched
I
South
still think
Park
has
in
a lot of
very,
great
very
things
long
in
time.
it, though.
I haven't watched them in a long time, but the idea of them working with Kendrick Lamar is too good of an idea.
I just have no idea what that looks like. I don't know.
Well, you know what it's about, right?
You might have to remind me, but
I will look this
off
up.
the top of my head.
By the way,
I cannot recall.
Danny Lanier is the director of Dude, Where's My Car? He also did Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
Okay, that tracks.
So I will pick up. Well, you guys keep going. Josh, keep talking, and I'll find out the.
Yeah, so I did not see Closer in 2004, but I think I actually mentioned in our '04 retrospective that this year was very important to me from like an award season perspective because it's really the first time I was like knee deep in the season. Like I was really becoming more aware of the movies that were emerging to be big players and big contenders. So I didn't see everything, but I knew about it because it had Oscar buzz around it. And I knew that I was never going to be allowed to see it, but it was still very much in my mind. And of course, people from the movie showed up at these award spaces too. So I didn't see the movie until like about maybe 2 or 3 years later. And still really enjoyed it. Like I thought it was a really interesting experience. But yeah, at the time it was more so just in the aura or the atmosphere, but still lingered very large during that time, even though I didn't see it.
Same. I mean, I saw it coming out, and my parents were like, "Oh, it's got Julia Roberts and Julia and all these people."
No, it's probably
you grew up in a
totally
lawless
normal.
household.
I did. I grew up in a lawless household.
Yeah.
By the way, the Kendrick Lamar, Trey Parker, Matt Stone film for everybody out there that wants to know again. The film will depict the past and present coming to head when a young black man who is interning at a slave reenactment play for a live history museum discovers that his white girlfriend's ancestors once owned his ancestors. It is coming out July 4th, 2025, and it is also slated to be a musical. So
they're going back to their Book of Mormon style.
Yeah.
I've never seen Book of Mormon. I'm seeing it this summer.
Really?
Yeah.
I have not been able to catch it either. I've always wanted to.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either, but I have.
I've heard great things. Like it's. I mean, those guys.
Look,
those guys, whether you like it or not, those guys are. I mean, they're really good at what they do.
They've done some really good stuff.
Yeah, they're smart guys, and
they're
done some really
talented.
bad stuff.
Very talented guys. Kendrick Lamar, very talented.
I just think that mashup
that is going to be a weird.
That partnership is so weird.
But it's so interesting. You're just drawn into it. If you're interested in seeing a movie with two Robert De Niro's, you got to be interested in a movie like this. It's coming out on the 4th of July. Oh, yeah.
The first thing I think of when I hear that, though, is that horrible Chance the Rapper movie. remember that one? Slice. A24 movie, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
that was tough.
See, I thought you were going to say that one with was it Janelle Monáe?
Oh yeah, well
what was that one?
That movie is like one of the worst movies I've seen in the last
forget
decade.
the name of it, but yeah, it was pretty bad.
Oh, what is that movie called? I can't remember. But
there are people are like, do you guys know anything about movies? You guys are looking up a lot of stuff.
Is it
Antebellum?
Antebellum. I was going to say Emancipation. Yeah. Antebellum. Yeah,
that's pretty much what it sounds like. But like this will actually, I think this will be.
Yeah.
I don't think I can doubt these guys until they make something truly awful.
I don't think Kendrick Lamar has ever publicly released anything that I didn't really like. Yeah. So
and like Team America and the South Park movie, which is now 25 years old, like those are really interesting, subversive topic points that came out at their time. So like it'll be very
decades old also.
Yeah, that's fair. Some of it doesn't age well, but most of it kind of still applies.
No, I
And
think Team
then
America actually ages very well. But my point is like that is from
yeah.
20 years ago.
Well, and then they had
I
Book of
just don't
Mormon,
think
which
they're
is like 10 years ago. So like, and yeah, they're just been
again.
coasting. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, it'll be interesting, no doubt
watch it
about
be
it.
like the number one movie of the year.
It might be. I don't
It
know. It
might
could be
be.
amazing.
Yeah. So I was surprised they didn't put like a teaser for it at the Super Bowl since Kendrick was doing it. You know what I mean? But anyway, closer. We're getting closer on this podcast.
We're getting
folks.
closer to talking about
A lot
closer.
closer. Josh, thoughts on this movie?
I really do like this movie. I have gone through like kind of phases of really liking it and then kind of pulling back a bit. I do think obviously like the performances are fantastic. There's no question about that. I think every member of this ensemble is great. I think their scenes together are they're intense, but they're so captivating. And the ways that again Nichols stages these moments, even though you definitely feel like it is based on a play, I think that he does such a great job of making sure things feel fluid enough within the moment that it never feels constricted by that environment. And again, that's a very hard thing to pull off, and I think he does it really beautifully. But the issue that I sometimes come up with this movie is that while these individual moments are really fantastic, I think stringing them together to create a cohesive arc is a little awkward at times. And I can imagine that, especially with these time jumps, that can happen on stage, and you're perfectly fine with that because watching a play requires a huge amount of suspension of disbelief. And I think those moments play so much better than in a movie that's under 2 hours where huge things happen in between these moments. And it does feel like I'm not getting the full picture to really have these moments land with the emotional impact that they should. They're like technically very well done, and I am engaged by them. But from a macro view, I do think I struggle a little bit with the film, especially on this most recent rewatch, of being like, yeah, like these fights are interesting to watch, and they do have a lot of engaging commentary, but I don't really see the through line to like really get me invested because I am intentionally not seeing so many big moments that lead to these particular points. So I think from a storytelling perspective, it's a little inadequate, like not terrible, but I do think this is one of those cases where I could see it working really well on stage, but on film, it's a little bit more awkwardly um, transposed onto this different medium. Still a good movie, still one I really enjoyed, but I think this film does work better on stage than, or the material works better on stage than it does in a cinematic landscape. And that's sort of how I feel about it.
J Dog, first time watch.
Yeah, first watch.
You were texting me a little bit the last couple days. Kind of confused. Didn't know what to
I
do
don't
with
know what
this
to
thing.
do. I don't know what to do with it.
And
I mean, it
I'm
is
curious to break this down with you, buddy.
I find this movie absolutely baffling as it currently stands as we are recording. I think this movie is, I think, actively bad, but incredibly interesting. And I do agree that the performances are really good, but everything that is going on. Is this movie a satire? Because if it is a satire, I find it completely unsuccessful. And if it is a pure drama, I find it so detached from reality that it doesn't work.
I mean, are you
I
legitimately
mean, no, I'm
asking?
genuinely
Oh,
asking.
okay.
How would you define this movie? As a straightforward drama or as a more of a satire?
I find it more as like a a drama. Honestly, kind of like it feels very psychological without the thriller, if that makes sense. Like I feel like we're examining these broken people, and I think they're all. I mean, not to get ahead and jump ahead, but like I just think that they're all interesting broken people. And Jay, the movie that I was thinking about weirdly a lot, and I know why Nichols had to be really interested in doing this movie. I was thinking a lot of Virginia Woolf watching this movie.
Oh, this is absolutely the
I was this is the
funhouse mirror
this
of
is yeah,
Virginia
exactly.
Woolf.
This
A
is
nice
like
kind of bookend of
yeah.
his career.
I was watching and I was just going
It's about male entitlement.
exactly.
And yeah.
and
Power dynamics and relationships.
power manipulations and sexual power dynamics
Yeah.
and it just
Sex as currency,
exactly. And I was just
manipulation.
watching the whole thing and I was just like, my God, somebody's got to write an article or do something on the mirroring of these two films. And this should have been, not to spoil ahead to next week when we talk about Charlie Wilson's War, but it's like, holy shit, like this should have been the end of his career. He should have retired on this movie because it's
It
such a
makes
perfect
sense
bookend for and why
thematically as far as his career is concerned, but
as a film though, it's a wild ride.
if it is supposed to be a straightforward drama, I find it so detached from any sense of true humanity that I just
Yeah.
could not vibe with it at all. I don't know. I'm very interested to hear other people's perspectives because every other line in this movie to me was like, what did you just say? And why did you say that? Those are
Well,
not words that people put together.
and I think the reason why you feel that way is because you are seeing the moments that are of the most importance in this relationship, but you're not getting like the connective tissue. I think it's almost like watching the fight without any of the context. And it's a
Yeah.
choice for this film and for this particular narrative. I don't know if it all works. And I think that's probably, especially on a first time watch, it does feel like kind of weird because you just see the big moments, but you don't see the lead up to it. And I do think for me, you kind of need that a little bit. But if you're there just to experience the performances and just the raw emotion, which think ultimately is what the movie's trying to showcase, then I think it can be successful. But I also agree that there is something kind of missing in between those moments to really give it more of a fleshed out sense of emotional investment with these characters.
It feels so abbreviated. That's I think exactly the problem is it does feel like you're going through checkpoints and skipping the levels, sort of to put it in
Yeah.
video game terms, I guess.
But again, on stage, I think that would not be a big problem. I think you'd be able to navigate those spaces a lot easier on the stage. Whereas just in film, I think we expect to see those smaller moments, because on stage, you come for the big moments. And so it works better there. And I think it's just an awkward adaptation with this particular story because it's missing those steps to get to these big moments. And we feel something kind of missing from that.
Yeah, as an acting exercise, which I feel like this is much more of an acting exercise in a movie, whereas right, it's defined as, stage is an actor's medium, film is a director's medium, novelizations or writer's medium or whatever. But this feels so consumed by the actorness of it that I think in a lot of ways it fails as a film in and of itself because the performances are very powerful and potent and successful, I think, but it's all in it's covering up the bumps and bruises of the screenplay and to your point, Josh, the direction, which the time jumps, you're just like, oh, wait. It takes you 5 minutes in a scene to be like, oh, this is like 2 years later. Okay, I got it. I'm finally centered now. I understand. And that might be something that works better on a rewatch when you're more kind of aware of what the film is doing. But at least on this first watch, I was like, it never grounds itself, contextualizes itself in temporally, in a way that I jived with it all.
Yeah, I kind of love this movie.
Okay.
I think that it's about just a bunch of sickos,
It
and
is.
in a lot
I
of
will say the
ways,
opening,
and
the song throughout is bad. Can we agree on that?
it's very 2003,
Yeah, I
2004.
guess that's what it is.
And that's why
Yeah.
I kind of also I chuck a lot of this dialogue. I feel like it's a capsule in time kind of piece, weirdly
Yeah, but it
enough.
doesn't sustain, it's no Simon
No,
and
it does.
Garfunkel,
No,
you
it's
know?
no. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about transition into the film, Jay. I think
Yeah,
it's
everything. Yeah, I
yeah.
agree.
Everything is a capsule in that time. I think also to the to talking about the stage adaptation. it is the same writer. Patrick Marber is the screenwriter here. That he also is based off of his stage play of the same name, Closer. And I don't, and that's the thing. I've seen this movie a couple of times in my life. This time it really hit. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's the Nichols series. I thought about this also in contextually with Carnal Knowledge in a movie about sexual power dynamics as well there too.
For sure.
Now, none of those people seem like they're a real grounded individual either, but those relationships still feel fascinating. And if you just ground it, not in a sense of reality, but if you ground it in a sense of where of these people and their story, then of course, like this is a movie about Dan Wolf, who is played by Jude Law, who is just manipulating every single relationship, but then ultimately is very alone. You have Natalie Portman's character. She's a very lonely, isolated person. When we meet Julia Roberts, this beautiful, I mean, Julia Roberts, 2004, still like the
Julia
most
Roberts
beautiful
never,
woman.
possibly never looked better in a movie than
And yet
this.
she's alone. Clive Owen, Smoke Show, alone.
You know that
These
Clive
lonely
Owen
people-
played Dan on stage?
Did he play Dan or did he play?
He played Dan, and he was like, I want to play Larry.
Wow, that's good for him.
That's pretty cool.
Well, he's perfect in this film. And
He is, oh, God, just despicable. Oh, my
yeah,
God.
but so is Dan.
That is
These are-
awesome. I'm sorry. Like,
Oh, he's
Yeah,
amazing
oh,
in it.
yeah.
Yeah.
that scene with
He's
them
doing
together in
everything
the
that is asked
doctor's
of him.
office in his office is incredible, and it's all about just sex being used in a chess game, and it really then boils down to by the end about desire and lust and hunger for control.
Yeah, I was about to
and-
say control. Yeah.
Yeah, and really just when it's never really about love. Like they all say, love is sort of like a mirage, I think, when I watch this movie. And it's about also people wanting something that they can't have, which is, when you get to this certain age that they depict these people in this film, that's very much how, relationships for some can feel. This movie, if it came out today, I think people would lose their fucking minds. It's another one of those movies where I watched it and I was like, good God, the discourse around this would be insufferable.
I think Natalie Portman was like 22 or something. It would be an absolute nightmare.
She was 23 and Clive Owen was 38, I think, at the time of shooting this or whatever. Still adults, who cares? But
Well, it's also interesting because there's no sex in the movie, too.
No,
though.
There is
Like,
no.
it's very much like Carnal Knowledge, where there is the implication of sex or there is the idea of sex, but we have evolved from 30 years, almost 30 years before, where that movie was almost like literally taken out of theaters, destroyed across the, whatnot. And I think that this is a wicked cousin of Virginia Woolf and the power dynamics of that movie and the sexual conversation that is happening in Carnal Knowledge. And it is a full circle moment for also a director that I do think that this movie, for feeling like a play, feels very Nichols. He is a director of plays at his heart.
It's cinematic for sure.
And I think he's very
not always successfully cinematic.
not always successfully, but there's so many interesting shots and also just spacing and how he's able to use mostly of these rooms of how the emotion is going for these characters. I think the scene that I have behind me, the Portman Clive Owen scene in the strip club.
Look, I'd never seen this movie before, but you know what 15-year-old Jay had seen?
Yeah. You had seen this scene?
It is interesting that the shot, the most explicit but not actually explicit shot, is actually this weird reversal of the most famous, under the leg shot in The Graduate.
Yeah.
So again, it does sort of all circle back to the beginning of his career. You do feel him reflecting on everything that's been going on. But yeah, that scene is very sexually charged, but also so nasty.
Yeah.
That's kind of this whole movie.
It's
again,
all
that scene
transaction.
also feels completely detached from anything resembling reality. It feels like it could be done in, the film What Planet Are You From?
Well, sure, buddy,
Perhaps.
but also like
all the characters are aliens.
the ending of The Graduate feels like from another planet. You know what I mean? Like
No,
when the
no.
mother is slapping her child and he's using the cross to like take the
But it's
whole
of a
like what
piece with itself, which I
Yeah,
guess
I
maybe
exactly.
you could argue this is of a piece with
It
itself,
is
but
of a piece within
that
itself.
is not anything like what's going on here, where we just
well because
for
like
my own sake, I will not repeat many of the things that people say to each other in this movie, which
No,
makes it a little difficult to talk about. But
but I think they're all adversaries and are have found each other through these sick games that either Dan or just chance has brought upon them. And I actually think the one person in the film that is probably the less sick out of the most of them is Julia Roberts. And still, she does things that she tries to justify, but she really can't. She doesn't have a way to sort of communicate those. But Dan and Larry are definitely these manipulators. And then you have Alice, who is just a mirage, and tries to dance between the raindrops, sort of speaking, here in her identity and who she is and control. And yet they're very vulnerable people and they don't want to be alone. They don't, they can't function without each other. And yet there's this thing that drives them all to, break apart by the end of the film. And I don't know. I just think it's fascinating film and how it wants to tackle these dynamics. And I think the acting, back to what you, Jay, and Josh have said, it's impeccable acting. Like I was watching this and I was like, I don't, there's not a weak link in this quartet. And I would,
no.
watch every one of these actors do these scenes over and over again. Like, and that's what I think, to your point, Jay, if I don't think it's a perfect film, but it's just so well constructed and it is such a callback to Nichols's other films and such an encapsulation of his career. And I think with these actors just knocking it out of the park, it's such a weirdly sick rewatch, that I can put on every like couple of years and just be like, oh yeah, that's a good movie because it's not trying to be anything more than these four contained people in this story, which is probably what it is on stage. But it gets, maybe to you guys' point, it gets expanded into a real world situation, and none of these people would feel real, like Clive Owen being in a sex chat room at his hospital. Like that's like some of those like little
yeah.
things are like that's not gonna happen in real life, but
No, that honestly, I was okay. It's just like the things that they say to each other.
Well, it's
It's so
theatrical,
written. Yeah.
I mean, but I'm fine with that because, like, yeah, it is a play, and I expect the dialogue to sound a little flowery, to a certain extent. I think the bigger issue is just how we get from these moments within this story. Because, like, yes, that scene between Clive Owen and Natalie Portman at the strip club, like, yeah, it's very powerful, but there is a bit of awkwardness to get there, and I do sympathize with you, Jay, because it comes right after the blow up between Clive Owen and Julia Roberts. And so you're initially thinking like this would be right after, like he just left that space and happened at this strip club, but like, oh no, it's like months later and we have to reorient ourselves. And I think that there's a lot of moments like that in the film where you are constantly having to recalibrate where you are with these characters. And I think after a certain point, that does become rather exhausting, because you don't know how to precisely track the journey because you're jumping around in the timeline so much that you can appreciate those moments that we get and these really powerful performances, but as a whole, to connect these moments, it does feel like you're like getting into it and then the momentum shifts and you got to start over again. And
mm,
I think that's the problem that I have with the story. I still am into it overall, but like the natural rhythm of things gets interrupted with every single new scene to the point where I'm left very frustrated by the end of it, even though I'm enjoying it for the most part.
And that might
yeah.
honestly be fixed with just chapter cards. I mean, it really might be fixed that easily if it's just chapter one,
Yeah.
introduction, and then it's like chapter four.
Or I think spending more
post
time,
breakup or
honestly.
something. I mean, I don't know, but
This almost feels like something that needed just like three acts, you know, just like one like
Or maybe like
moment
musical
of extent.
progressions or something, like better transitions, maybe, Josh?
I think so. There just is something about how abrupt every transition is. Like every time
Mm,
a scene ends, we are in not just a new location, we're in a
a
new
new
time.
time. Yeah.
And I think that's what the issue is. There's no moment that feels like we can ruminate with it any. Like it's just we're here and then we are flashing forward and then we're there
Mm,
in that moment and then we're flashing forward. And it just feels like we're moving kind of too quickly and we're
mm.
not really enjoying the space with these characters that have these very big dramatic moments that I think should linger. But
nothing
it's like as
but
soon as they're
big dramatic
done,
moments.
yeah. But as soon as they're done, we just move on, and we don't even have the moment to like really recognize the immediate fallout. We're just like months later into the future.
Mm. Yeah, I think that for me, like I didn't actually have that issue because I just it was maybe because I've seen it. I definitely seen it more than Jay and probably Josh. You and I've seen it probably around the same amount of times, a couple times. I am now on the rhythm of this film and know what to expect. So for me, watching it, I don't need the transitions because I know that like these characters aren't going to change through time too much other than just who they're with or who they want to be with or their ultimate goals and stuff. And so when I actually kind of weirdly just kind of didn't want it explained. I kind of just felt it. And so you guys know what that means is that it was a little tenant where you don't think, just feel it. You know what I mean?
That
And,
is foolish when it comes to this movie. That is
and I
an
was just,
insane way to
I
approach
was
this
just
movie.
thinking about like, oh, what year is this? How much time has gone past all this difference? I just was in their hands, kind of just like, I assumed that when the scene ends, because the motif of this movie is when the scene ends, we've jumped a little ahead of time. We've jumped a little ahead in time. And maybe when I first watched, I can't even remember when the first, like I'm like my actual theater going experience on it. I just remember seeing it. I was just there's so much dialogue, and there's, to Jay's point, there's so many fucking crazy things coming out of their mouth that you're not tracking the time on this thing. You're just going with the progression of like these characters are going to meet. It's a tragedy. These characters are going to meet sort of a tragic end, and time doesn't really matter. It's the destination ultimately for the end of them matters. And because they're going to get to these points, but it's ultimately not going to really get them to where they want to be. And I do agree with you, Josh, though. If there's one transition problem, it is the one at the scene at the end with Dan and Alice in the hotel room. I do think that does jump too far ahead, as well as maybe a smidge of the Larry and Dan scene there. Maybe that's about it. But I'm still enraptured by those two scenes and those performers and how sort of the Dan and Alice final scene together mirrors the beginning when we first when we first are introduced to the two of them. And I don't know. I think I'm a little bit more forgiving, guys, on this movie than I usually am because I'm so into what it's trying to talk about and what it's doing and what Nichols is doing with these actors. I don't know. I kind of forgave a lot of those things here. I think it's you know
Yeah.
you know
I understand that. Like, and I do think that if you watch it enough times and you know what to expect, you probably don't have that issue as much. And I even will say, I think like in the first half-ish of the movie, that actually doesn't really bother me that much either. I actually kind of like the figuring it out at first. But I think after the fight between Larry and Anna, which I just love so much, I really just love that moment. It does feel like that is such a significant inflection point within that story that it feels like I kind of want more of the immediate aftermath of that. But because the movie is so married to the idea that as soon as we cut away, we jump forward, it just feels like I'm missing some stuff that I actually think would give these characters a lot more dimension after that point. And what I get after that is still somewhat interesting. I actually don't really like the final scene at the hotel room. That's the one that actually feels kind of very
The slap
overlooked
is
to
one of the
me.
most bizarrely edited things I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
It doesn't feel.
I
It
know.
feels like he's pulling a punch there. Honestly, like it doesn't feel. It feels
It
like
feels like a movie slap for
It,
sure.
it
Yeah.
no. It feels like a take where they were like just kind of look like you hit her, but you didn't actually.
Yeah, and
Like,
then we'll just
feels
like do
like a
we'll
pat.
make it look like
Yeah.
the Matrix
Yeah,
so that it looks
exactly.
like you really
Yeah.
hit her.
It's a little weird. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like that. That's also when the movie really puts all its chips on this idea that I'm frustrated with throughout most of it, which is the feeling that people in this story have two modes where they either are just completely ambivalent to somebody or they are 100% devoted in love. And it's like there's shades in between
Yeah,
there. And
that is one of my biggest problems, Josh. You nailed it.
yeah. That
yeah,
is a little
I
bit.
don't
That
love
is a little
that.
bit. That is the unbelievable part of this movie, Josh. Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, that I don't really love. And I think for the most part, even though it's present throughout the entire story, I'm able to navigate it better, at least through those performances. But like that last scene is when it just really says we're either all in or we're all out. And it's like that's not how people behave. That's not how actual relationships are like. We're not in high school, you know?
Yeah, but these two, to the credit of the consistency of the writing, Dan does that to Anna when she reveals that she had, you know, sex with Larry one last time before the divorce.
One of the more ridiculous moments of the
What
film.
and then and he does that, and so then Alice does it to him. And I do think that the one thing though that the movie should have done is had maybe a moment of reflection for Dan, realizing that when he's alone, sort of like that to your point, Josh, like flesh out a little bit of the fact that that is a massive full circle moment for that character. And I kind of think that that was a missed opportunity to really explore the sort of downfall of that character who is at the height of his heights. When he meets Anna, he gets the girl and everything, he gets it all, and he throws it all away and he goes back to this girl and he can't realize that she just did exactly what you know her whole story mirrors his, but he doesn't have, but we don't see that realization through him at all. And if you're going to say that that final shot where he realizes that her name's made up and she really is
Oh,
Jane Jones,
God.
I was a little like that was like I
The
was like,
Kaiser
oh,
Sose moment. Yeah.
that's so 2004. I was like sitting there, I was like, oh, that's right, I totally
I was like,
forgot
yeah,
about that.
sorry, that was fucking ridiculous.
It's so
That
that's the
was
thing though
so
too.
stupid.
It's so stupid, but man, I'm so nostalgic for dumb shit like
Oh
this
my
because the
God,
movies we get
so
nowadays are so
stupid.
stupid.
But not in this movie, though.
No,
Yeah, I had
that was
forgotten
dumb.
about that
Yeah,
moment
but
when I rewatched this movie, and I really did a big
But it's
eye
also like
roll.
framed as this huge revelation. But in the context of it's kind of like, who cares?
Yeah,
Like,
it doesn't matter. They weren't married; like they were
well, also,
just in,
but also like,
in a committed relationship. But I don't know.
but
It
also,
was
what does
dumb.
that say then about her? Because she uses her real name as her stripper name, but then she has this fake name as like it doesn't say anything about
Well, it
that.
says a very simple thing of like, what she
She's a
values in life,
mystery.
what she's
Yeah.
willing to put in authenticity with, like this thing that we think is so salacious, like that's actually her real self, and it's the committed relationships that she's putting on the performance. Like, I mean, that's not a very deep
No.
analysis. It's fine, but it is completely ruined by that reveal, which is just dumb. Like, what did we like? It didn't matter to us. We already saw a passport. That was fine. We didn't
It
need to
felt
see
a
the
little.
origin
it's like
of
showing what happens to the spinning top in Inception. It's
yeah,
like, yeah.
we did not need that. We
I mean,
already
the
had the
theme
answer.
is she's so confident that men will let her down that she'll never truly show her true self, which is
Except
apparent
in the
throughout the
environment in which
entirety
men
of the movie.
expect, her to put up a fantasy.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
even still, when she's giving them though what they want through that fantasy, she is just checked out of it. You know what I mean?
All
And
all that you need is the moment where she's like, nobody gets to see my passport. And it's like, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
That moment that you're now considering to be Rosebud uh, is just it's repetitive, it's redundant.
No,
So
that's a fair thing to, yeah, no, for sure. Um, these, but that being said, these performances are just great. Who
Oh,
is y'all's MVP for the film? Who do you think is the
hmm.
best?
I mean, I guess it's hard not to say Clive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is hard not to
He's very
say him.
big.
But that's the thing is like it's the definitely like the showiest performance of the group, and I think that's the reason why he does rise to the top. I do love that performance. He's so committed and like yeah, is a slime, but you are captivated at every single moment. But I think to just name somebody else, I gotta say Julia Roberts I think is also really really great in this film, and I think that's the character that is the most kind of removed from the gutter, at least sort of from a farther perspective of things, but she also has like a very complicated emotional state that she's working
Mhm.
with too, and is manipulative in a different kind of way that is much harder to play. And I think especially for somebody like Julia Roberts who does not really play characters like this often, it's
Yes, I
just
wanted to talk
fun
about
to
that.
see her do something different like that. And I do think that the character herself is probably the most fascinating and the most complex of the group. So I do think that Owen is probably my favorite just to watch, but in terms of the most interesting performance, I actually think it's Julia Roberts.
I think that Josh is absolutely right. That's like the answer. Because when I was watching this movie, obviously Natalie Portman is great in this movie.
Yeah.
We've seen Natalie Portman do this all the time now, though. Like
She
she's
rocks the frickin' house in the stripper backroom
yeah.
scene.
And I think Jude Law is very good to here too, though.
Oh yeah.
It's like, but if there is a fourth,
He's
I think
fourth place.
he's fourth place. Yeah. But like Julia doing a movie like this, post Oscar, height of her power, still America's sweetheart, everything. And like that scene with her and Clive Owen when their marriage is breaking apart, and just half the dialogue there. She's never said anything like that before. She's never done a movie like this before. She's never given herself over to a director nearly in terms of just vulnerability of a character like this before. It's one of the more interesting characters she's ever played. You're absolutely right, Josh. But Owen I mean, for God's sakes, the man just comes on screen and is literally the most interesting character, the most diabolical character, and and really the match that the real life partner that Dan really should be with, because they're both sickos
Yeah.
and like they're kind of made for each other in a lot of ways.
That
And you
scene in
see
the hospital in his like appointment room, like there is genuine sexual tension between the two of them in that
there
moment.
is, but there is also it's the ultimate dick measuring contest, and yet to be embarrassed by Dan early in the film, in the chat room scene, which is just a ridiculously funny scene though. And between the two of these guys just going back and forth. And for that scene to come full circle, literally, to where Larry has the upper hand, he's won everything and pretty much destroyed this person from the inside out, but then is also gives him enough sympathy to then break his soul literally one more time. It's so diabolical
Yeah.
in terms of the writing, but Owen is so confident. He's like, Josh, I know that I was going to bring this up sooner rather than later, and you knew I was going to
Yeah.
do this.
I knew. Yeah.
But the idea that he was going to play James Bond, sure, fine, whatever, that they wanted that to happen. But him sitting behind that desk was more like a Bond villain than it was was more like Bond, because he's sort of mustache twirling by the end because he's won, he's
He's
conquered.
nasty.
He's so
Yeah.
nasty in this movie. He's
But it's
great.
so good. It's so
Yeah.
good. I still was very much on Clive Owen should be James Bond back then. I was
Was it
very, very adamant
him or
about that.
Craig? Was that the whole deal?
I don't know if it really came down between the two of them, but at that time,
He
anybody
was what
who's
they
an
wanted.
English
I
guy
think
under
they talked about
40,
Owen for a while.
yeah,
Yeah.
I really wanted him
Because he
because I
had
had
like
seen him
a
in those BMW movies. I don't know if you ever saw the short films that BMW made where he played like basically like the transporter. He was a driver, and they sent him on a bunch of missions. And the movie is actually fascinating time capsule, by the way. Major directors attached to these things like Ang Lee and Guy Ritchie, Tony Scott.
Didn't
Like
Tony
I
Scott do
would,
one of them? Yeah.
yeah, I would very much recommend
Well, didn't he
checking
do
those out
like
if you
a
can.
British thriller in like, was that
Yeah,
Croupier or
Croupier. Yeah,
Croupier?
and because that one it takes place in a casino, so you get to see him in a tux and that
And then
environment.
it
So
was all like, oh,
yeah,
okay, he could do like a golden eye situation
yeah,
kind of
that was like in
thing.
the late '90s.
Yeah, and
He is
world is
rocking some blonde fuckboy hair in that one too, in
yeah,
Alien.
and
Very much
like
recommended for
the
that.
world is not enough comes out, I believe, in '99, and
Yeah,
it's in a casino. They're thinking about getting rid of Brosnan already, and it's like, oh, okay, that's where the rumors start building because they're like, oh, well, this guy's got the goods. And so by the time Die Another Day comes out, like Owen's a legitimately like decent enough
yeah.
actor, pretty big enough. He's in Born Identity and a couple other films by 2002, and then this is like this year is so big for him. He has the King Arthur film.
Oof.
You know, I
Yikes.
Yeah.
mean, not that that movie's good, but
That was
he
his
gets,
I mean,
shot.
headline says
that
he
was
was
his shot.
the
Him and
main.
Fuqua,
Yeah.
yeah, and then he's got this. You know what I mean? And then after, I would say after this point, because he doesn't get James Bond,
Yeah.
Hollywood didn't know what the
I mean, it's
fuck to
Yeah.
do with this
Children of
man.
Man, obviously,
Yeah,
that's huge.
But he's like
But
such a weak character, not like written weak, but I mean
he's a
like,
passive character in
he's
that
great
movie.
in
exactly.
it.
He's past. That's a
His
better term for it.
2006, he's great in Inside Man, and he's great
Oh, he's
in
so good in Inside
He's
in
Man.
great in
Children of
Inside
Men.
Man. And he's in the
Sin
Pink
City
Panther,
2.
uncredited,
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah,
I
he
don't know.
plays like
I'll
006
tell
is
you
what
what
they call
movie
him
I
in
kind of
there.
like. Absolute trash. Shoot 'em up.
I was
I
gonna
knew you were gonna say
say
shoot him up. Yeah.
Jay is
Yeah.
got to be a shoot 'em up fan. There's no doubt about it. Well, I remember seeing. Did you guys ever watch Duplicity with him and Roberts? The
Yeah.
Tony Gilroy
That's a
follow
good movie.
follow up to Michael Clayton. Jay, did you ever see
That
that?
one I have not seen.
It's just like a fun, almost Soderbergh esque style, like in the vein of Out of Sight,
Yeah.
about
I haven't
these two
seen it in a
spies.
very long time. I don't know if it holds up, but my memory of it was that it was a fun movie.
It's got Clive Owen, Julia Roberts, Tom Wilkinson, Paul Giamatti.
Hmm.
It's
I
yeah,
mean,
Like a
Clive Owen
corporate
is in.
espionage
yeah,
type thriller. Yeah. I remember it being pretty
it's
fun.
good. It was fun stuff. Yeah,
But
Owen
yeah,
is
you're
in the
totally right.
absolute wasteland right now. Oh
he
my
is.
God.
Oh yeah.
He's got to do something. They
Yeah,
got
you're
They
totally
got
right. After he
Well,
didn't get Bond, it's like, what do we do with English actor number 57 in the queue here?
yeah.
And it's a shame because I do think he's a very good actor and he's incredible here. But yeah, he doesn't really fit that well outside of like just another character actor in the States. So that
The
it's
one thing he had was
unfortunate.
the Nick,
Yeah.
where it's
Oh,
just like, this is what Clive Owen is. He's an
And
absolute
speaking of Soderbergh, yeah.
scumbag.
don't even get me. I love that show. Those 2 seasons of television were incredible. And then they were like teasing you for like a decade of like, oh, we'll make more. Oh, we'll make more. But he wasn't
They're
going to
never
be a
gonna
part
make
of it.
more.
And then they're never going to. And then they were like, remember there was like that rumor that Barry Jenkins was going
Wasn't
to
that?
do
Yeah, I was about to say Barry
like
Jenkins
the third
was gonna.
season, and
Yeah.
like Soderbergh was going to write it with him and everything. You're like, oh, this sounds great. And then like it never happened. It was going to
And
focus
then they
on
were like,
Andre
oh,
Hallam.
maybe we don't want to do a third season of a show that nobody watched.
That is super expensive. Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
very expensive, but also like, God, he's so good.
You have
That
to
show
shut
was
down like
so
6
good.
blocks and completely
It felt like a show.
reform the.
It felt like a show that just like they put it. They didn't even put it on HBO. They put it on
It was on
What was
uh
Well, it was a Cinemax show.
Cinemax show.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
now they own the rights to it.
Well, now it's just
HBO.
on Max, but
Yeah.
like
Like if that was on HBO though, probably would have gotten like 4 seasons at least
I
because
mean,
it's like
it maybe would have had a little bit of a better
Maybe, I
shot,
don't know.
but
It's
you
a very
know.
challenging,
It is.
unpleasant show.
but at that time HBO was just giving out seasons like candy. And
They
it
were.
wasn't until the vinyl series where that really they started like wait a minute, maybe not everything from Tim Van Patten and Martin Scorsese is going to work out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know I know it was a lot earlier, but that was one of the things they brought up on Angels in America, in Harris's biography. They were just like, yeah, they just got to do they had like the nicest lunches every single day. They just
Yeah.
had nothing but money. It was kind of like how Netflix was for so many years.
When they had like
Yeah.
It's just
only
like,
Orange is
we're
the New
new
Black.
guy.
And,
We're gonna try and get
yeah.
important, famous, talented people on board. So we're gonna entice them with goodies.
And now they're like, maybe we don't do that. Maybe we'll just buy the
Netflix
movie
is
after
like,
it's made.
Final cut. It's not really a thing anymore.
Well, no, I mean they just buy movies now. They don't actually
Yeah,
like
that's true.
they don't like make many of them
Yeah.
anymore. Like,
And they
well,
just
unless
dump
it's
them
their
on the platform.
like most of their awards movies this year, they were all bought. Like they bought them at festivals. Like Amelia Perez, His Three Daughters, Hitman, Maria. Those weren't like original productions, and they've worked with some of those directors before. So, yeah. Or,
I mean, they did have Back in Action this year, which obviously was an auteur's masterpiece. But
was that any good?
no, it's terrible. Oh my God.
That's
How
why
was-
he brought it up.
How was
That
my
was the joke.
But how was Cameron Diaz?
It is a nothing movie where she is given next to nothing to do.
I just missed her. And I
The
think she's
first
great.
15 minutes, when it's sort of a domestic comedy, 15, 20, 25 minutes, I thought were pretty decent. And then it turns into just the most generic espionage movie you've ever seen.
It looked like that one movie. It looked like Spy Kids. It looked like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It looked
Yeah,
like
there's a kid spy thing that gets real
okay.
weird.
So it looked like that Mark Wahlberg movie that went to Apple Plus. Guys know what I'm talking about, where like he was a former.
Yeah, it was called like The Family Tree. Or I know
Yeah,
exactly what you're talking about.
yeah.
It had some stupid name.
It's had some stupid name. It just came out like 2 years ago or a year ago, or whatever. I never watched it. It's just they all
I
bleed together.
block those movies out of my mind as soon as they enter the conversation.
Do they when they put them on the platform? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I am not interested in whatever Mark Wahlberg is doing these days.
You sure? Josh, you didn't watch Flight Risk?
Oh, from the Academy Award-winning director of Braveheart, that for some reason they don't want to tell you who that is.
That is very true.
You think they're never going to put his name back up there on the marquee?
The movie was called The Family Plan.
There you go, buddy. Thank you.
Okay,
Maybe for Passion 2, they'll put Mill's name back
probably.
up there. But no,
I mean, he's the ambassador to Hollywood now. I mean, he's got an important title.
I know, right? He's doing briefings at the White House.
That was so funny when they were like, "Hey, so what are your thoughts on Ambassador to Hollywood?" And he
I have
was
no
like,
idea what the fuck you're talking about.
no idea what you're talking about.
But like, no, I miss Clive Owen, and I wish he would come back in the world, because I mean he's a damn good actor, and
Yeah,
I mean,
my God, is he so hot in this movie? I just got to say it.
he's still kind of hot.
He feels like he
but
could have
in
like
this
a
movie in
Brendan
particular,
Fraser thing in him. Where's the whale?
Ooh.
we don't want to wish that on anybody.
No,
Come
we don't want to wish
on.
that kind of a movie on him. You want to work with Darren Aronofsky?
Oh, come on, Clive.
That's not fair to him. What if they just made him M in the new Bond series, and they reboot it?
I can
How
see
they
that.
do
I
that?
mean, like you said, a villain. I do think that obviously, like, yeah, he is very.
He needs a paycheck.
He can be very charismatic, but he can also use that for evil, like we see in this film, and that's what makes him so captivating. Is that like you are drawn into his orbit, like you understand why people would be so attracted to him, but once you get caught in that web, you do not want to then be on the receiving end of his venom. And yeah, that final scene between him and Dan, like, and it doesn't help that they drench Jude Law in all that water to make him look even more like dopey and pathetic, which I'm sure was intentional. But
They made a very good looking Jude Law just absolutely creepy looking in this movie, and it's the hair.
Yeah.
It's the hair. The hair is
His hair thing has always been his Achilles heel.
yeah. Because man, when we were talking about The Holiday, it's like, God, that is Daddy. Daddy is home. You know what I mean? And you watch this, and this is 2 years before, and you're like, my God, did they make him look like a creep in this movie? You know, he can have the
Yeah.
glasses and sit up there and be whatever and be just a normal person, but he looks like a fucking creep.
His
in
hair
this
at this period could look really, really good or really, really bad. He's always had a hairline thing.
Yeah. Now he's just
but-
gotta let it go in a lot of ways.
Which I think has
Well-
done him well as an actor, actually.
Yeah.
he's kind of let it go. Like,
Yeah.
you still see that patch up there, and it's like, okay, what are we doing?
Let him have it. You know what I
let,
mean?
let the structures go. Just let it go.
The man's
what
got
are you-
like
what are you doing?
the man's got like
What's going
9
on up
kids.
there?
Let him go. I had a question for you guys about Jay. We've talked about in the past, like who is the best actress working today?
Best actress working today.
We talked about this before on the show when we talked about like Blanchett, when we talked about Julianne Moore. Can we put like maybe Natalie Portman in the discussion for that?
You know, a lot of people really don't like Natalie Portman as an actor.
Why don't they like her? Because I kind of think that she just like when she's like in a non-franchise movie, like most of these people, she rocks the house. Like
The one thing I will say if someone doesn't like her, it feels like she has been acting since she was a kid.
yeah,
And a little bit of that theater kid
like,
energy. And when you're 40, that doesn't really play. I disagree with that. I actually think that's part of
she
her
has theater kid
power.
energy.
Absolutely, she does. Did you see May December? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but I don't think that that's
I think it's purposeful in that
Yeah.
movie,
yeah.
but
I think it's purposeful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Natalie Portman is very good, but I think sometimes she is at the mercy of her director
Mm.
and the material. I do think that because even in this movie, I think she is exceptional, but there's moments with Alice that just feel like it would be difficult for any actor to kind of carry the emotional through line of what this character is going through. And I think she does an admirable job, but there are moments when the writing doesn't help her. And I think sometimes Natalie Portman can struggle to overcome that on her own. I mean, look at the Star Wars prequels. She's awful in those movies. And we know that she's great, but she's at
Oh,
the mercy of George Lucas, who can't direct actors worth a damn.
George,
So
I don't
yeah.
think anybody comes off good in those movies, Josh. And I actually
No.
don't think that she's
and
too
that is
bad.
true.
But
That is true. But I think that to me,
Oh, she's pretty bad in those movies, man.
yeah,
No,
but like
I
Ewan
think
McGregor is able to skate by.
I think
you know,
she's-
in that
You're
sense.
I think she-
breaking my heart.
I think she's better written in the first two, but when you get to episode 3, she is poorly written in that film. And that
I
to
think all
your
of them are poorly written
and
for
to
her,
your
but
and to your point, Josh, like she is given nothing as a character there to like really do anything other than like Jay just did. You're breaking my heart and screaming like dying, and it's like,
yeah, but
what are
some
we doing
actors
here?
are able to overcome that on their own, and
Yeah.
some actors need the foundation in order to build from.
I'm
And
just saying, like,
and like I said, and this is like, 9 out of 10 times she's great, but I do recognize there's some moments in her career where it's like, yeah, this is not very good, but that's because you don't have a great director or writer, and I understand that, and I actually think that most bad performances are the result of bad directing,
mhm.
but there are talented enough actors that can overcome that. I don't think that she is necessarily one, but that's like a lot of actors that they can't overcome
Well,
bad
I mean,
directing.
like even like we've talked about, like Blanchett just had Borderlands, and Julianne Moore has like had Seventh Son and had stinkers. Everybody
Which I
has their
just saw
stinkers.
Borderlands actually. I just saw that like a few weeks ago.
You watched that voluntarily?
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna get
Well,
there.
it was an enhanced viewing, I'll say
Okay.
that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair. That's fair. Well, Jay, I'm surprised your father-in-law hasn't bought the film for you to watch yet.
He has, just haven't gotten there yet.
Just
Had to
haven't
watch,
gotten there. You will.
Nipple Boys and things like that first, but
It'll be right there for you. It's like a
Yeah.
trash night. You and the kid can just put on Borderlands. No, but I just like, I think that she makes interesting enough projects, and she
Agreed.
works
She's
with
got
enough
good
great-
taste, I think.
She's got
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
taste. And even like from an early, I mean, like she's some really great
Lucy
movies.
in the Sky. God.
Yeah. But everybody's got those stinkers. I think that
I
like,
know.
but she's got, I mean, she had Black Swan, and she's got, Leon, I mean, obviously Leon Professional right out the gate, and she's in Heat, even though she's like barely in this. She's in this in the same year as this. She's in Josh's favorite movie, Garden State, and then
She's very Garden State coded in this.
Yeah.
That very manic pixie
Yeah.
dream girl.
I was gonna mention that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that character in both of those movies.
There
feel
was when
cut
they
from the
play
same
that
cloth.
when they play that horrible song multiple times, I was half expecting her to be like, "Hey, Larry, have you heard this song?" and then take off her headphones and hand it over to him.
But she would probably do that to Dan, not to Larry.
This song will change your life.
When
Garden
she's-
State, I feel like that movie has gotten so much hate that it almost might be underrated now.
Like,
Is that
is
possible?
it actually bad, or are people just like annoyed with Zach Braff?
It's just such an easy movie to dunk on. That's
It's
what
like
it is.
it's
I mean,
like-
it is.
Well, it's
that
like what we
movie
talked about
is-
American Beauty. Like it is a movie that is a
Yeah.
relic of its time, and whether you think that that has aged well or not is up to the eye of the beholder of the
It's just
filmmaker.
Garden State is a movie that so perfectly fits the stereotypical mid 2000s quirky indie
Yeah.
dramedy. Like, if you just need to think of that real quick, like Garden State automatically qualifies as just the
Small, but wants you to
broadest.
think it's insightful. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
But
yeah.
that soundtrack, it's still
Look, I was actually listening to the Shins the other day. I really like the Shins, but
oh, I
they
love the
are very
Shins.
much their shoes are stuck in concrete in 2004 to 2009
But you know what,
as
Jay?
well.
But you know what, Jay? This isn't the first time we talked about Natalie Portman because she's in two Malick films.
Yep.
She's in The Night of Cups. She's in The Song to Song.
Hmm.
And,
No,
she's in
I'm
Annihilation,
sorry for
Jackie.
her.
No, that don't.
Those are great films.
Great films.
Josh, don't start.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Simply
welcome
not,
to that
simply
wrong
do not
opinion.
start.
Actually,
I will.
I should say I didn't even see Song to Song because after the last two, I was like, there's no way I'm doing
Did you
this
see A Hidden
again.
Life?
I did see him. Like, it was fine. It was okay.
Okay. Ugh.
But the Night of
Ah.
Cups
My
and
head
To the
hurts.
Wonder were so terrible that I saw the trailer to Song to Song. Is like, no, I am not voluntarily subjecting myself to this. So
I tell you,
I
To the
skipped it.
Wonder got better after we talked with Brian on that movie. I've been thinking about that one a lot.
To the Wonder is good.
That's a good movie.
I
Um,
viscerally hated that movie when I saw it.
I mean, fair.
But to be
No,
fair,
I do not.
to be
I do
honest,
not blame anyone
Anybody
who
for
doesn't
saying
like that era of Malick
Malick,
at all.
yeah.
They just hit me so hard.
Yeah.
It's look,
I'm glad they
Josh.
do.
The Terrence Malick series was like I can retire from podcasting and be happy because I did the Terrence Malick.
Well, don't do
series.
that, buddy, because we've got to
Hypothetically, I could because
And look,
that
I'm
was
glad
my
that
magnum
you did.
opus.
I'm glad that you got a lot out of it. This is also just my own. No, I don't say that facetiously. I
I know,
genuinely
but
don't.
it just sounds like it when
It
it's
is very
Josh and Jay.
dismissive.
Yeah,
You know
Yeah,
what?
I know
Good,
it's
good for you. I'm glad you liked
I
it.
know it
Yeah, I'm
sounds
glad
like
you
that,
liked
but
it, you basic.
no, I am
bitch. You know what I
genuinely
mean?
happy that you got so
Look,
much out of
liking
Malick.
Song to Song is not basic.
I
That
know.
is certainly not basic.
This is my own personal thing with Malick, where I have trouble connecting to his stuff. I don't think
That's
it's an
fair.
accident that the only movie of his that I really love is The Thin Red Line, and it's the one movie that's based on something else that he didn't write initially. So,
Doesn't love Malick, doesn't love Altman. He's the
and yet you keep inviting me back. I don't know why.
he's the
We love you,
anti-Jay.
Josh. We love you, Josh. But yeah, I mean, like even like Jackie, Annihilation. She's worked with Mr. Courbet. I've never seen that movie. I still haven't watched that one.
You still haven't seen Vox
I
Lux.
still haven't seen Vox Lux. I said I would.
I do not like that movie.
I hate that movie.
I know you
Yeah,
both
I
don't like
I
that.
don't like it.
I know, but like, I don't know. I love The Brutalist so much. Like, do you guys think I would like it?
No,
No?
I don't
Okay.
think so.
Jay, you know me
I-
more than better than anybody. You've worked with me long enough. Do you think I will like that movie?
What I know about you is that you will give movies a lot of leeway as far as execution if they're trying something really interesting. And I don't think that movie is even really trying something terribly interesting. And it's also doing it in a way that is exploitative and occasionally truly gross. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm very lenient, is what you're saying.
yeah, whatever I said. You're lenient when it comes. Well, no. Oh,
So,
you're
like,
saying
you
You give
Probably-
movies a chance.
No,
I
no.
think
Yeah.
the kinder way is that you give movies a chance.
See, I like what
but
Josh just
there's
said.
only so much runway.
No,
to,
I'm-
and I
I'm-
think that one has a very short.
Yeah,
one.
I think
Ryan,
like
I'm the same way as you are, where it's like,
yeah, buddy.
man,
It's
this
a
thing's
big-
doing crazy stuff, and it doesn't
Can't
always
can't
work.
deny
right?
it. Yeah,
The swing is.
I love. Yeah, I'm
talk to me
I'm
about Matrix Resurrections, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I'm the guy that's like, man, if you're gonna do something big, I kind of gotta just respect it. But it's still gotta like be interesting. Like I gotta be thinking about it. But like, yeah, that one I just like. Also, I'm just gonna put this out there. I'm worried about watching that one and then watching The Brutalist again and being like, maybe this movie that I love actually kind of sucks. So like, it's kind of one of those things too where you're just like, I kind of want to leave this thing alone. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to tempt the fates.
That's how
You know
I
what
felt about Three Billboards.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to go back and watch any. And then obviously I loved
Banshees.
Banshees. Yeah,
Yeah.
but when I saw that, I was
Ye-
like, he is going
Yeah.
back to the hits, and they are not
Not
hitting. Were these always bad?
I mean, one thing I will say, Ryan, is that I do think it would be interesting for you to watch Vox Lux and Childhood of a Leader,
Yeah.
which you might like Childhood of a Leader a little bit more, but watch those movies and then take into account why people have issues with the second half of The Brutalist. And I
That's fair.
think you might find some answers there.
Yeah. I mean, like, I get it. I get why
You might not
people-
agree, but I think you would
No, I
understand
mean, like,
maybe
I
why
don't even
people
have to see
feel that way.
I don't have to see those two movies also to understand why people don't like the second act of The Brutalist. But it doesn't help me that I watched The Brutalist multiple times since that first time, and the second act gets better for me every time. Because, like this movie, I
You're
know
allowed
what's
to
coming.
love the second
you know?
act of The Brutalist. That's
Jay, have you
it's
seen the
okay.
second act of The Brutalist?
I love Song to Song, for God's sake. They're gonna put me on a cross. And
Jay, have you yet to see the second act of The Brutalist?
no, never haven't seen it. First half is great. I mean, really good.
He had to leave because of a personal reason, but like still straight up, it's funny that like we were talking before. I was like, Jay, have you still not seen this movie from this year and this movie? But then he's like, yeah, but I watched the Cameron Diaz Jamie Foxx movie on Netflix.
Well, but the thing about going to watch the second half of The Brutalist is I have to go see all of The Brutalist.
Yeah, you still need
which
to
is
see the first half.
It's a 5-hour endeavor.
Well, so
and
you
I
just
have
wait.
a
Are you waiting for the?
2-year-old.
Are you waiting for the home release?
I guess I don't know. I need to see it in a theater.
Yeah. Did you get?
But-
Did you end up seeing Nickel? And
No, I wasn't able to go see Nickel Boys in a theater. I am going to see Mulholland Drive and Bamboozled this weekend, though. So,
Well, there you go. But he still has yet to see Amelia Perez, a movie that I have to know.
yeah, I'm going to
Jay's
see
thoughts.
Mulholland Drive instead of watching Amelia Perez.
I think
if
you
can
should.
believe it.
That's
Yeah.
the only that you
That's
know
fine.
what you know what. It's kind of fucked up that you're not doing that.
I really the limited amount of times that I'm able to go to the movies, I am so much more interested in going to rep screenings than new stuff.
Well, unless it's something you really want to see,
Unless it's something I really, really want to see.
which
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a ton of things like that this year for you.
I hope so. But also it's like, oh man,
You're
I
gonna
want to
wanna-
see Mulholland Drive in a theater. That's
You want to see Mickey 17?
I will try and see that in a theater.
Do you want to see Kugler's movie Sinners?
Yeah, I'd like to. I don't know if I think that looks very good or not, but I would love to see it in a theater.
What about Mission?
Which one is that?
Mission Impossible.
Oh, that absolutely going to see in a theater.
PTA?
I'll see F1 in a theater. I'll see the PTA movie 5 times in a theater.
F1.
Hell yeah.
F1 I did not expect to be. I should've
F1,
known, you're
like
dead
that
now,
movie
so,
might be
yeah,
terrible.
obviously.
It's going to be an IMAX experience.
Josh, cars go vroom vroom.
Cars
All right?
do in fact.
I
go
forgot
vroom,
he's a
vroom.
dad now.
Yeah.
So
Maybe,
like, obviously
actually, maybe that
judges-
should
I'm
be
not.
Jets-
I'm not a
maybe that should
dad,
be
and I
Jets
want to see it
first
in
movie. He
theaters.
loves
Cars go
cars.
vroom vroom.
Cars
Yeah.
do in fact go vroom vroom.
Hell yeah, they do, brother. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. That movie looks just like a retread almost of Days of Thunder. It feels
I
like,
don't know
but,
that
like,
anybody knows what that movie looks like yet, except for a bunch of cars going fast.
Yeah, but
Well, that's all people
but
need
they
to
look
know.
good.
I know my dad will be asking me, "Hey, do you got a screening invite for that? Do they got a +1?" I know that he's going to be asking me about seeing that movie.
so Josh, your dad's gonna ask what then? Do cars go vroom vroom?
well, he
Or
already knows
what he
that.
might ask is, do you have a plus F1?
There you go. There you
Okay.
go. Josh is like, I regret coming on this
All
show.
right.
All right.
we have
Um,
passed the point of no return now. Like you crossed the threshold now.
Uh-oh.
Do you guys want to? Is there anything else you guys want to mention? I mean, like, I feel like we haven't even gotten to the. Jay, did you write down any of this dialogue?
Yeah, I
Oh,
did a lot
okay.
of it, actually.
You want to say some of your?
Oh my God.
maybe some of the most-
I have to,
some dramatic
sort
readings?
through it. Do you have the we have a 5-second delay with the censor button, correct?
I just think the I would love Jay to recite the back and forth between Clive Owen and Julia Roberts in the kitchen of like all the different sexual things that.
That is one of the craziest things. Oh,
Even
Natalie Portman was on Bluey.
Oh my God. She was?
Yeah, she played whale documentary narrator.
Did you cry during that episode?
Probably.
Yeah.
God, Bluey is so good.
How many episodes of Bluey have you seen? All of it?
All of them, which is
Yeah.
like 85.
What
But
if
they're all like
Jacques?
7. They're all 7 minutes
What if
long,
Jacques Audiard did a Bluey
except for
episode?
the
Would you
one
watch it?
30-minute one. If Jacques Audiard did a Bluey episode,
Yeah.
of course I would, but only if
Carlos
what
Sofia
is
Gascon is in
yeah.
it.
Ghost written by her tweets.
Oh
Yes.
my God. Yeah, yeah, I generated from her tweets. I saw this article, I think it was off Gold Derby, that they were like, she's still got a shot to win through an AI bot. I'm like, what is journalism anymore? Like, what are we doing?
We're killing it.
Well,
We're doing great out there.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure she's doing fine in the safe house that she's put herself in out there.
Natalie Portman, obviously been a movie star for a long time. Her first television credit,
Mhm.
Sesame Street,
Hell yeah.
which rocks. Her second
It's like the
television
kids'
credit,
version of Law and Order.
sure.
Yeah.
Her second television credit, Hitler's Pawn, the Margaret Lambert story.
well, speaking of Carlos Sofia Gascon,
Oh my God. Music by Kanye West? What's
God,
going on here?
We're off the rails. You know what? I'll tell you this, kind of the one, and this is a quote. I really think this is one of the quotes I cite most often in movie history.
Okay.
Is from the great character Syndrome from The Incredibles, when he says, "When everyone is super, nobody is." And that is kind of what is wrong with this movie, is that everything is turned up to 11, and so therefore it all feels flat to me.
Mm.
We never are grounded in any sort of humanity or reality, and so all of it just feels like somebody screaming at you for an hour and 40 minutes. And that's what I don't like about this movie.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've been
Kind.
moved in the opposite direction.
You sure?
I don't like this movie.
You don't like it, buddy?
Don't like it.
Oh, that's disappointing. I thought you would.
Trying to think of the movies that we have actually covered in our series. Is this my least favorite one? Like of the Nichols series? I think it might be.
Ooh. Is this the...
Not the ones in between, but the ones that we've actually had episodes about.
Do you think Silkwood is better
I think it
than
might be.
this?
Yeah, Sickwood's really good.
Postcards?
Oh, I like Postcards better. Did we do Heartburn?
What about Primary Colors? Do you think that the Primary Colors is better
I
than
think
this?
Primary Colors is better than this.
Oh, Jay, you're wrong. That's
did you guys do Wolf?
No,
We
we
did not
didn't do
do
Wolf.
This is
No.
probably better than Wolf. I'll give it that.
Yeah, this is better than Wolf.
I mean, this is better than
This is more
several.
interesting. This is better than Primary Colors.
I
Come on,
disagree.
man. That movie.
No.
Talk about a movie that's just not aged well.
Mm.
Its politics are all over the place.
Its politics are all over the place, but
its
politics
screenplay's
are all
bad.
over the place, man.
Its editing, like all of it. It's got a literal central performance you hate. Like, what are you talking about?
It does, but yeah, that's what this is an acting
It's also 40
exercise.
minutes longer than this movie. You know,
That movie is way too long. This movie annoys me.
Yeah,
I find this movie annoying.
I can feel that though.
You know,
I think this movie could have been
you know, a
longer,
movie I
to
kept
be
wanting
honest.
to watch, watching it,
Hmm.
Lost in Translation. I don't know why. Maybe it was just the wig, but
I mean,
and
similar
people in a foreign
times that this
land,
movie
and they were
came
right
out.
near each other.
Yeah.
Movies
mean-
about, you know, sexual dynamics. I don't know. I was just
About
like, I wanna
wandering
watch
Or like people
souls.
coming together, very
Yeah.
character focused. Like
sad, lonely
Yeah.
people dealing with sexual impulses.
But this turned up into a wickedness level that you couldn't buy into at all.
It's not even look. I like a mean movie. It's a
Yeah.
very mean movie, but
This
it's
is a
just,
mean movie. Yeah.
It just has no finesse.
I think you needed the connective tissue is the thing. You
Yeah.
needed the moments in between the fights to know the context. Like you can get the broad strokes of that context, but I do think there is something to not having that makes the subtleties kind of disappear, which again on stage is perfectly fine because you need to be big and loud. But in a film, we appreciate those smaller moments, and not getting them here, I think, is what is kind of frustrating as you're watching it. I still like the movie more than you, Jay, but I completely understand where
Yeah.
your issues are coming from.
But
Hey,
you
Doug.
talk about even think about. So let's compare it to Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. which is a movie that takes place
over one night.
basically in real time,
Yeah.
and everyone is pissed off the entire time. But it takes breaths sometimes and gives you this real groundedness and decompresses, like when they're out on the swings and on the swing and all that stuff. It really gives you this sense of these are real people. I just never feel that with this movie. So
Jay, you know what I'm thinking of? It's an old conversation you and I had years ago about, because I think you think that this movie kind of plays in the same key, right, the entire time, and
yes,
doesn't
absolutely.
And a movie and the connective tissue would help you maybe sway off of that key or just show it in a different light, or have like you're saying, a chance to breathe or be more than what it is, which is just the consistency that the movie has of its tone and what it writes its characters as. And weirdly enough, hearing you talk like that reminds me a lot of your kind of how you talked about Boyhood in the past with me from Linklater, where
well, I got a lot of problems with Boyhood.
I know you do, but like but you know how I'm saying, like, that movie for a lot of people is
I find that movie stilted in a similar way that I find this movie stilted.
And I can see
while trying to present itself as intensely human. Yeah. Which is why I do find myself thinking, like, is this a satire? What are we doing? And I don't really think it is.
No, I don't think it's a satire. I just think it's a drama without the build up to the most dramatic moments in these people's lives. It's intentionally segmenting it into these very dramatic, big moments that are the inflection points for their relationships. But like, I do agree with you to a certain extent. Like, I am somebody that appreciates the small things that get us there. Like, I do like character focused movies, but the way you really mind that is if you really stay with those characters and ruminate in those spaces. And this movie's not really
like a Terrence Malick movie. That.
Yeah, except good. So that's what I prefer.
You like movies that are good. Sorry.
Well, I like movies that actually care about their characters. That's the thing that I enjoy.
We should have Josh on for something.
But I like what's going on in that tree that's right over there, and what that tree symbolizes as
bird. Sure, I bet Adrian Brody would prefer to be talking about what's going on right now, though.
No, he's fine. Like, Adrian Brody's good. He like literally talked about it like a week ago or something. I saw him on a show or whatnot.
That's Rasta Man.
Oh my God, no. Jay, stop it! Literally, get over it. Oh my God,
I'm not getting over
it. You guys are gonna get in trouble, man.
Look, Adrian Brody's actually very good in The Brutalist, and the fact that I've had so many issues with him over the years, that's like a great accomplishment for me to say he gave a good performance in something, because
he does seem like a real piece of work.
I'm not.
He's given might have some off mic things to say about his Oscar campaign. So
I like him in Summer of Sam.
Oh, he's great in that movie.
Yeah.
He's a good actor.
He's a good actor. He is.
I was thinking about the other day because they had announced the new Wes Anderson movie.
He's good in the Wes Anderson stuff.
I was thinking about Asteroid City, and I was thinking about his
that movie is good.
That movie's really good. And then I was just thinking about his segment in the French Dispatch, which it was him and Benicio, and they're both really good together.
That is my favorite segment in that movie.
That's my second favorite. I love the Jeffrey Wright segment.
No, it's great.
That segment rules. And obviously the worst segment in that film is the Timothée Chalamet one. It just is. And
they're all subpar to me because I don't.
I don't love the French Dispatch, but
right, Josh,
it's got good stuff.
Josh, do you like Wes Anderson?
I would say overall, I have grown to appreciate him a little bit more, but I will say that yes, I am kind of in that group where sometimes his movies can feel a little too stylized, and I feel a little bit of emotional distance from them. Yeah. I appreciate him as a filmmaker. I do appreciate him as like a visual artist, but sometimes I do think that artistry comes at the expense of me connecting with the characters.
Before this episode's over, I need one more director that Josh doesn't like, so he can hit his like Mount Rushmore of like pissing off film Twitter.
I didn't say I didn't like Wes Anderson. I just think that
not one of your guys.
Yeah, he's not my fave.
I'll say this: maybe the Wes Anderson movie I stick up for most, like compared to everybody. I really like the Darjeeling Limited. I think that movie's really good.
Yeah, I think it's good. I did the whole rewatch when Asteroid City was coming out, and I did all of his movies, and I think that one was lower, but I still really, I don't like think he's made a bad movie. Um, and
Has Wes Anderson made a bad movie?
I don't think he's made
Oh,
like
I
oh, you hate,
abhor Moonrise Kingdom.
yeah, you hate
Oh
that
wow,
movie.
that's actually one I kind of like.
Um,
The one
oh
actually I feel
man,
like people talk about like not liking that I actually did really like is Isle of Dogs. I actually
yeah,
really
I do
loved that
love that
movie.
movie.
that movie's
But
pretty
people
good.
really kind of came for it when it. I mean, I understand to a certain degree, but I really did like that film.
I don't
Jay,
like Zissou is that good.
I think yeah,
I
that
don't
one
like it.
that kind of went a little bit lesser for me on the
Yeah.
rewatches.
And people love that movie, but I don't.
His best is
Unfortunately,
Tenant.
that's just one that I do not get.
His best is Tenenbaums though.
I don't think he'll ever pass Tenenbaums for me. Uh,
Well, I do think though that like Fantastic Mr. Fox and
no, he's made some other
Budapest, I
really
mean,
good
they're
stuff, but
wonderful
Tenenbaums
films.
to
But
me is
man,
like,
yeah,
woo.
it helps having Hackman.
No, I watched it at the right time in my life and all that stuff too. So
Yeah,
that definitely plays a part. But I mean, I knew we were going to get here. I knew we were going to get to an Adrian Brody retrospective in our closer episode, and I'm glad we finally did.
Um, anything else you guys want to talk about with these characters? Jay, do you want to rattle off some of those quotes, or you want to just leave it?
We will let them. We will let them lie.
Well,
Everyone.
I definitely have to say that he tastes like you but sweeter is just one of the greats. One
That
of the
that is
greats.
that is
There
very
are a lot
good.
of just great one-liners in this movie, and you're like, holy shit.
They're
But
very
that is the
biting.
one where every once in a while I'll just be like, it'll randomly come in my mind. Well, sorry, that was
Well,
a
well,
very poor choice
hey,
of,
there it
that was a very
goes.
poor choice of
I
words
ain't
that was
say
not
it.
intentional.
Nobody got me
Oh,
earlier
God.
on it, but like,
I mean,
yeah, there it
there
is.
are some really good lines, and mostly Larry. Oh God, when they're signing the divorce papers, and he says, "You be my whore, and I'll repay you with your liberty." Ugh, just brutal. And he's got 6,000 of those lines in the movie, but it's
He's like cracking jokes after they had sex and after he signs the papers too. Just a sicko.
Yeah.
doing it on his like still wrapped medical table.
Also, good for Alice, by the way, man. He's like, I got $500 here, and she just like refused to answer that question and got all that money. Like straight up, good for her, in that moment. But
That
also,
song, "The
like,
Blower's Daughter," is straight up bad.
how much? Oh yeah, that one. Oh yeah, it's not very good.
The main one, yeah.
But how much does Clive Owen make? Like he's just like throwing that money away, like left and
Yeah,
right.
I mean, he's a doc, which also kind of confused me a little bit as to
Pediatrics,
why they're
right?
no
No,
dermatology.
dermatology. That's right. Sorry,
No,
that would
but
have been
what
worse.
confused me is like, why are they still in her like loft? I mean, I would assume he probably makes so much more money than her. Why are they not
Yeah.
in like some nice, very nice apartment like in downtown London? Why are they still at that place?
Is it the
That
same place still, or is it a different? I felt like it was a different place.
I mean, wasn't that her studio?
I don't think so, Jay.
I
Was
think it
that?
was like a joint. I think that's where they kind of lived together. I think that
Yeah, I
was
think it was
both of
different.
them.
It looks kind of
Mm,
similar because of the open floor concept.
I guess
But
so.
Another
I don't remember that being like a like an upstairs when you first walk in there. But maybe
Mm.
I'm wrong about
It
that.
looks
Another
very
great,
similar.
Very
yeah.
similar.
It
But
Not
definitely
great
did.
production
Same
design,
same
honestly,
vibe.
in that case.
that's London. No, I'm just kidding. No,
Yeah,
no, no.
there's definitely some really good design in this movie, although I would say overall not particularly memorable. But another line I love is when Anna says to Larry in their big fight. I think it's in their big fight. "You seem like the cat that got the cream but can't stop licking himself." That's actually not in
Jesus.
that fight. I think that's at her
At the gala,
exhibit. Yeah,
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 yeah.
man. Yeah, when
yeah.
he's
It's
like
after her
jealous.
conversation with Dan.
Yeah, when he's just like watching him from afar like a creeper.
He was talking to Alice, and they're
These
kind of
two
like,
really these two really are the creepiest guys on the planet. Like straight up, they deserve each other. But then
ooh,
like
and that one part where he says, "Are you dressed like that because you thought I would hit you?" And clearly she was. Whew,
oh,
scary stuff.
so that you wouldn't, so I wouldn't hit you, right?
So that she could leave if it got weird.
Yeah. Um, but like I do think that Anna's like when he's back with her at the end, when Larry's back with her at the end, and she's in the bed. Just like she's the only one I actually like truly do feel bad for because she like got full circle to life a
To
little
a
bit.
point,
To a
but
point, you know what I mean?
but
Like,
she also like kind of is dependent on that energy too.
yeah, it's
Like the
weird.
reason
It's
she
really
goes back is
sad, I
because like
think,
she
though.
has a codependent relationship to this drama and this guilt. Like, I mean, he like Larry crudely mentions about her like she loves a guilty fuck, but like it's a horrible way to put it, but like it is true. Like she's addicted to kind of feeling sorry for herself and the people around her, and like she could try to navigate it as much as she can, but like she's also drawn to it. Like in
Yeah.
and so like yeah, I feel sorry for her, but also like she
But hers
kind
is
of
more,
wants it too.
but Josh, hers is more like internalized. Like
Yeah,
it's
it's
it's it's
tragic.
it's tragic, and it's also like it's not the most pronounced in the film. So that's why I think like her arc is the best in the movie because
Yeah,
and
agreed.
why what you said earlier, like Roberts is the best, most interesting performance in the film because of the fact that like Anna's journey through this is like it's very full circle, but it hers you actually when you see her in the bed, you get a sense that the movie understands and allows you to understand that this woman is stuck in a circle of her own, of her own demise or just of circumstance or whatever the case may be. She is stuck, and she's stuck to she's drawn to psychopaths, for one, and she's married to one of these guys that it's just going to they're going to go back to the way things were, where it's going to be this very mundane way of doing things, and Larry's going to get away with whatever he wants to do. And so he's sadistically happy because of where Dan is at, what he would, he had through, if you can believe out of his mouth that he had sex with Alice at the time until she until she reveals it,
Yeah.
right? But even still, can you trust her? Is that, like, because they're very unreliable narrators.
Because she was mad
Both,
at him at that point too for
yeah.
needling her about it. So you almost didn't think like, is
Did
she
any of
telling
that
the truth?
happen? Like,
I'm not.
exactly. Like, so I just think that Anna is the only character here that, to probably your
She
point,
doesn't
Jay.
play the game,
No, she doesn't
but
play the
she
game, but
allows
she's
herself
a
to be a pawn at the same
exactly.
time.
And she's ultimately the one I think that feels the most human and the most
Yeah.
realistic in the film, as opposed to all the three of them where they're playing this game and they're almost, this is a thing that probably is against the film. They are all written so much similar, and Anna's the one that's not written as much as those other three
Yeah,
characters.
Nichols said he viewed them all as different facets of the same person, was the way that he described it.
I can see that.
I
Yeah.
can see that for those three, and I can see it more as than like what's missing in the internalization of the other three characters is found then within Anna,
Yeah.
who I think is, I mean, I think Roberts is just kind of great in this movie too,
This is kind of the only. Did she have another role like this ever?
where she's having to be this sort of
Very explicit,
sort of,
angry movie. I mean,
I mean,
Aunt
like,
Bully, obviously.
like Eat, Pray, Love.
Charlotte's
Yeah, I
Web.
mean,
She plays Charlotte.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like the F word version of Charlotte. I mean, like, I hate this movie, but I guess it's sort of like this. But like, did you guys watch Leave the World Behind? Where she's
No, I
very
This
did
kind
isn't
of,
not.
quite like that.
she's kind of mean. She's just like a mean
It's kind of a nasty
person
movie,
in
but
the,
she's in
yeah.
full mom mode.
Yeah, I know. I hate that
That
movie.
movie, I like 2/3 of that
No,
movie.
that movie sucks, dude. That movie's terrible. Sam Esmail.
I hate where it ends up, but I think there's some
Yeah.
good stuff in it.
Where it just ends with friends. Oh, I saw
Yeah, they
that.
go.
Yeah. I remember seeing that at AFI at the premiere, and then sadly, like 2 days later, Matthew Perry passed away. And we were going to do like a pun in the title of it, and we were like, nope, there's no way we're doing that. That is totally inappropriate at this
Trying to
point.
think of what it would have been.
I don't even remember what it
What
was.
did,
Something.
what did Chandler say? He was like, "I'm so not."
I don't know. It wasn't involving
You know
him.
what
It
he
was
said?
involving. It was involving the song. It was like,
Uh,
it was going to be something along.
so no one told you it was gonna be this bad.
Something along. Maybe I don't know. It's probably to the letter of the extent of how far we got. I don't know. I don't think she's ever done anything that's
Yeah.
even remotely similar to this. I mean,
I
like,
It's
don't
pretty
really think
unique in
so.
her filmography.
It is, yes, which is crazy, right? Because she's been in the business for like 40 years.
Well,
There
she's
was
a movie
another
star. Like,
Yeah.
there was another actress signed on for the role until
Yeah.
she got fired.
I would have been that weirdly would have been very interesting to see Kate Blanchett pull that off.
I think she's too icy. I think
Yeah.
the inherent softness
Yeah.
of Roberts plays really well.
yeah,
Maybe though she would have fit into the themes of wanting all these characters to that Nichols wanted all these characters to be like that, and maybe that would have come off like that. But yeah, I don't think that this would have been the
and
best one for Kate.
I think she would have been
Honestly,
still good, obviously, because she's
yeah,
Kate
because it's
Blanchett. But I don't
Kate
think the
Blanchett.
character would
Yeah.
have been as interesting to dissect if it had been her. I think she
Yeah.
would have been far easier to figure out.
There's
It
also something too about like, and just from that. I don't know. They're just, yeah, I think you're right, Josh. Also, too, just the moment you see Julia Roberts on screen, you're like, wow, okay, that's, you can see why Jude
It
Law
really
wants to like
it,
drop,
it is
everything
crazy
for her.
But also when you see her and you're like, oh, she's one of the four co-leads. She's just a part. She's just a piece of the puzzle in this. That in and of itself is interesting. Although, Ocean's 11, she was the eighth lead or something, but that was just a Soderbergh favor.
Blanchett had to drop out though. She was winning an
was-
Oscar, so that was her consolation
She was
prize.
pregnant. And
Well,
so
that and yeah, that
yes.
too. But she
Well,
also,
but this would have been the same year as The Aviator, though.
yeah, Jay. Like I think she wrapped The Aviator, was going to probably do this, and then she just.
I mean, it might have been right before, or they might have shot around the pregnancy, which Nichols was like, I can't shoot around the pregnancy, which is the second movie that he has fired an actress from because of pregnancy,
Yeah.
which isn't the best look, but
No, it's not.
it happens.
All right.
Yes. But to his credit, that's speaking ill of Mike Nichols. Natalie Portman said Mike Nichols is one of the greatest directors she has ever worked with, and said he was the only older man who mentored her without there ever being a creepy element in it. So
Well, there you go.
shout out, Mike.
We know who that was directed towards.
George Lucas.
Yes, definitely George
Son.
Lucas.
Like, God, Jesus. The only other thing I would actually mention with this movie is that I just found it so funny to once again, because this is a Columbia release and they're owned by Sony, those goddamn Sony Vaio computers that I have never seen in the wild anywhere. The only time I've ever seen a Sony Vaio is in a movie that Sony produced. And I get like a nostalgic kind of feeling about it because just the blatant product placement that of this computer that absolutely nobody used except characters in Sony movies. I always find that to be so funny.
This movie is also. This was a hit.
It did really well.
This is crazy that a movie.
Yeah,
with
remember when adults went to the movies? Yeah.
Yeah.
remember on a $27 million budget and it made $116 million.
Yeah.
That's fucking
Yeah.
nuts. That's crazy.
Yeah, 'cause
Movies
we
like
had
that don't
adults
grab it. Yeah,
seeing
because
this stuff out.
yeah. Oh,
But it was all international.
yeah, big time. But like, I don't know.
34 domestic, 82 international.
I mean, honestly, even 34 domestic is like
That's still pretty
movies
good.
like this would kill to get that kind of box office these days.
You're
But
talking
now
about
this
like
movie has a $12 million budget, not 27.
No, this
Yeah.
movie and doesn't play in theaters. It's on Netflix.
That's true.
Nah, this movie is like maybe an A24 film, maybe, or a neon pickup. Like it does.
Maybe.
It's at a. You know what? It doesn't have nearly the star power. It doesn't. It has like a director maybe working on its second or third film, and it's going to Sundance and it's getting picked up and stashed away. You know what I mean?
No,
I
getting
mean,
picked
who
up by
is-
Roadside.
Who is the Mike Nichols now who can approach huge movie stars and say, hey, would you like to be in this very small movie?
well, this goes back to what you were trying to guys talk about earlier. Who is the Mike Nichols of now? And I mean,
It is weird.
I don't
Ryan.
know.
We've
Who is
covered-
Mike-
We've covered a couple of directors. I think a certain movie died when Tony Scott died. I think a certain type of movie will die when Ridley Scott dies, and maybe a certain smaller, less auteurist type of movie died when Mike Nichols died.
I think
That's
like.
possible.
Well, I think the reason why movies like this died for somebody like Mike Nichols is because the movie star has died. and not is not as
That's
big
part
as
of
it
it
used
for
to be.
sure. Yeah.
I mean, like Julia Roberts is a movie star. Meryl Streep, Jack Nicholson, you know,
Although I guess I
Robin
guess
Williams. These are
every now
movie
and then there is
stars.
something like this. What was the Jennifer Lawrence swimming pool movie?
Swimming pool movie.
That's just what I'm calling it. Brian Tyree Henry was in it.
Oh, a
It was actually pretty decent.
Oh, God, what was I liked that
Breakaways.
movie a lot. It was on my top 10.
Breezeways, but
Causeway.
something like
Causeway. I was
That
like,
was
it's
it.
something like with way.
pretty
in it.
good.
I really
but-
liked that movie.
Yeah.
That was so good.
was
But
good.
yeah,
It's-
but that's like a micro budget movie that
Yeah, that
barely-
movie probably cost $8 million.
And also outside of the six people, like the people that
and 7.5
nominated
of it was Jennifer Lawrence.
yeah, like outside the people that nominated Brian Tyree Henry, which is still a wild nomination, inspired but wild,
totally deserved. That
totally
movie's actually
deserved.
really good. I love
No,
that. film.
he's very good in it, but it's just like wow, nobody's seen this movie. I'm shocked that it got in. Yeah, it's like buried on Apple, and nobody will ever probably watch it
no.
again. But no, he had the ability to work with movie stars, and also every time there was a point where he was like, "Oh, Mike Nichols is count him out." He'd go to the stage and he built his credibility up, or he'd make a movie that was like the movie for a time period that everybody started talking about and garnered attention and awards. And then like when he had Angels in America, and we'll talk about this in the bonus episode, obviously for sure, like he got another wave of carte blanche that he, because it was just like this guy made
Sort of. I mean, this is what he did, and it's pretty modest.
Yeah, but I mean, it's modest, but look how like it still made some money, and then that's how he gets Charlie Wilson's War.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's sort of the Chumbawamba of directors in some ways. He gets knocked down, but he gets up again. You're never going to keep him down.
You ain't gonna keep Mike Nichols
Until
down.
Charlie Wilson's War, and then he's down for the count.
And then
well, Josh, he didn't get to make another movie. That's not fair to him. Like, come on.
Never got to make Angels in America too.
Yeah. Oh, and they're in the outfield this time? Okay, cool. Anyway. Jay?
Yeah, man.
Before we get out of here, we're going to test your award season knowledge based on the film we just reviewed, Closer. And a segment we like to call It's an Honor to Get Nominated. Now, Josh, you know this game. You've played it before with us. You know that
you've sat in frustration watching me not knowing anything.
Jay, you've been okay during this series, the Mike Nichols series. You've done okay.
Yeah, I've had a decent feel for Nichols at the Oscars. Yeah. This one I do not have a feel for.
Was Closer nominated for any Academy Awards, buddy?
I'm almost certain it was nominated for something or things. It got a pretty middling response critically, I think. So I'm not sure it got...
You know who loved this movie?
Who's that?
Raj.
Old Raj.
Gave it 4 out of 4.
Yeah.
Raj loved it.
Yeah. Raj never had... I mean, occasionally he wouldn't have the best taste. There's no doubt about it.
That is true. There are some rough old Raj reviews where you're like, what are you doing, buddy?
Yeah. He had some very interesting opinions on some stuff.
Certain directors too. It was like he did not like it.
I mean, it would be boring if he just liked everything that everybody liked.
Absolutely.
You know?
It seemed very random too. Like that was the thing about him. He liked a lot.
It wasn't annoying. Like you read
it wasn't annoying, but it was just
Pauline
wow.
Kael stuff. Almost any Pauline Kael thing, I'm like, oh my god, this is you're trying too hard, Pauline.
I think
writer, but
yeah, I think Raj wanted to like everything, but there were even points where he couldn't even do that anymore, which is like what most of us do. But I think like it was always
very good at judging movies for what they were too. Yeah, like he met every movie on the level that it was given to him.
That is very true,
and I very much appreciated that. Like you can I am very frustrated that he didn't like movies like Starship Troopers or Full Metal Jacket, and but for those movies it's not great, but he'll stick up for Home Alone 3 and say it's like the best of the series.
That's what's so crazy about it. It's like sometimes he would zig when you think he's going to zag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is great.
And that's what killed Siskel, was when he liked Home Alone 3.
I always do have...
What is wrong with you? You can't say that.
But you know what? I always do have hometown pride that both of those guys are from Chicago and that they're such a huge a mark on just the culture in terms of the perception of film criticism and the fact that it's all from right here. I'm so proud about
And then
that.
it's Richard Roper's fault that that show died. Anyway,
He's my favorite critic.
he's something all right.
He roped me, I'll tell you that much.
For God's sakes. Anyway, tell
I
us,
have no comment on Richard
Richard.
Roper because I see him at screenings, so I'm not going to say anything.
You guys share deep dish
It's
It's,
Josh and Roper and Jeff Wells.
at the movies.
yeah, that's
Oh, and Cody.
that's the trio
All
right
four
there.
of you. Yeah, that's the four horsemen right there. Jay,
Yes, Oscars.
Oscars,
I'm going
buddy.
to say screenplay,
you locking it in?
locking it in.
That's incorrect.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
Yeah, yeah.
Honestly, great job, Academy. Um, but I am surprised. Okay. Jeez, that really threw me for a loop there.
Mm.
The song was not written for the movie, so it didn't
No,
get
that's
song.
not an original song.
No.
Jay's putting that on the soundtrack, or he's putting it on the Spotify list this week. That song.
I hate that song. God, this got something, surely.
What have
I
we been
think of it.
talking the most about, like the best element?
I mean, the
of movie?
performances are the best, but was this movie
I mean, it might
okay.
not be a bad place to start.
Julia?
No.
Clive?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. I didn't know if Clive was going to be a big enough star to get a nom.
Any more?
Portman.
Yes.
Okay. Ingenue. They love an ingenue.
And guess what, Jay?
That's it?
That's it.
Just two acting. Okay.
Yeah.
They both
Now-
won the Golden Globe.
They both won the Golden Globe, and Nichols the screenplay, and it was nominated for Best Picture Drama. So it had 5 Golden Globe nominations. Both
Rude did not
Portman,
nominate Julia.
both Clive and Portman, they put BAFTA gave them recognition. The screenplay got nominated at BAFTA too. Clive won the BAFTA, buddy, and then I think they were shut out at SAG. They didn't get nominated at
Yeah,
SAG.
didn't get
Which
nominated
is
at SAG.
fucking wild because it's a movie about actors and it's like this 4-film ensemble here.
Yeah, but SAG has like basic ass taste. They were never gonna really
I gotta
come to that movie.
I'm gonna look up
They
here
were
and see
not.
what they had in SAG, but
Clive Owen is good in Gosford Park,
he's very good in Gosford Park.
a film directed by Josh's favorite filmmaker.
Yeah, I know. I don't like that movie either. Although that movie, I have more issues with Julian Fellows than Robert Altman with that film.
SAG ensemble that year, Josh, was
Okay,
Sideways.
well, Sideways won. Aviator was there. I know $1 Million Baby with 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
Was Hotel Rwanda one of them?
Yep.
Okay, and the fourth one or the fifth one was it Finding Neverland?
Yep, but you're missing
All right.
one. They nominated 6.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I think the other big
I-
Best Picture film.
The other big Best Picture.
'Cause you got everything in there.
Is it? What? Oh my God! Now I'm blanking. Now I'm in the hot seat where Jay usually is.
Well, Jay's lives in Atlanta, Georgia, so Georgia's always on his mind.
Oh, I forgot that Ray was an ensemble
Ray.
nominee.
Ray. Yeah. But they didn't make it in at SAG.
Even with 6. Wow, I didn't remember that there were 6.
Yeah, that was Kindo for Hotel Rwanda, Madsen for Sideways, Laura Linney for Kinsey, Cloris Leachman for Spanglish, and
Oh yes.
Blanchett won for Aviator, and then Morgan Freeman won the SAG for $1 Million Baby. Thomas Hayden
He's
Church
very good in $1 Million Baby.
is very good in that movie. Thomas Hayden Church for Sideways, Jamie Foxx Collateral, James Gardner for The Notebook, and Freddie Highmore for Finding Neverland.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I remember that SAG
did
being
like to
very.
nominate kids.
They were very violent that year. Yeah, that old SAG group.
Yeah, but like the James Garner and Cloris Leachman nominations, yeah, I do remember that now.
Yeah, but it was Owen and Alan Alda were the replacements, but Hayden Church, Jamie Foxx Collateral, and Morgan Freeman were at Oscars.
Yeah.
And basically,
Yeah,
like
Clive
it was
Owen, Clive
was
Owen
like
having BAFTA and Globe, like that would have made him very competitive, but not having the SAG nomination was probably the death nail for him.
being him and Portman being the only thing for their films. Even back
Yeah.
then, you needed that best picture because that's kind of what
Yeah.
helped old Morgan out there because it
Well,
was
also Morgan Freeman was the veteran. He was overdue. Like that was a narrative that was really, really hard to overcome.
Jay.
Yeah, man.
This is the year of Million Dollar Baby winning Best Picture.
It's a good movie.
Aviator,
IMO.
Aviator, Finding Neverland, Ray, Sideways.
Yeah.
We did this year, right?
This was one of our retrospectives.
What did we give? We gave Picture to.
I think it was Birth.
That's what's the whole birth takeover for American Sophia, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Because that was the first time we did the new
System.
a collective vote of the nominees and winners.
Who did we give actor to?
I think we gave it to Paul Giamatti.
Did we give it to Giamatti for Sideways?
Fair.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And then we
Yeah, I
gave
think
Glazer director.
Glazer got director. I believe Imelda Staunton won actress from
No, I
us.
thought Nicole won and she got the tie.
No, that was the nomination.
Oh, the nomination.
We made the
Okay.
exception for her to be nominated for 2, but I think for the win, we did say it was going to be Imelda Staunton.
Okay.
But this is the same year that we were introduced to the Great Character Syndrome.
There you go. Because of the Incredibles. Yes, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right there, Jay. Do you remember what Josh, what we did with supporting actor and supporting actress?
Supporting actor, I do think we did Clive Owen. I think
Did
he
we?
did. He was our winner there. Supporting actress,
We didn't do Portman.
no, we didn't do Portman. We kicked out Blanchett. I you because we replaced her with Kate Beckinsale. I was just very happy about. That was the proudest moment because I advocated for Kate Beckinsale for The Aviator.
Well, you guys hurt me a lot with that Aviator stuff because you guys know
Yeah,
that's
I don't
my
care.
jam.
I love that one.
I know.
I love that switch.
Y'all are monsters.
Who did we do?
Did we do Virginia
Oh,
Madsen?
no. You know what we did? We did Rachel McAdams for Mean Girls.
That's right.
That's what we did.
That was a good nom. That was a good win. Yeah, we did a good job. I'm trying to remember what we did, but Josh is I was the creator of it, but Josh is really the rules expert when it comes to our retrospectives. We do a really good job on those on the AwardsWatch regular show.
Most of the
main show.
time.
Yeah, I think we did. No, I think we've done okay.
I've started forcing myself into all of those.
Well, I think Jay, you love it because then you get to like go down some rabbit holes and
I love curation. Tell me
Yeah.
what to watch, even if it's
I'm
garbage.
very upset I could not have been on the 2019 episode because I heard some of those decisions, and if I had had a vote, would not have gone certain ways. I could tell you that.
I don't know what you're talking about, Josh. And
Yeah.
I think it ended up just being fine.
Hmm.
We got Banderas. We were good.
Yeah, but
We don't start.
there's-
Don't
there's
start
still
with me.
some. There's still some there that
It
I
worked
did not.
It worked out. It was okay.
Although Jay, you were innocent because you actually voted for the movie I would have wanted.
Which would have been Portrait, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did a good job. I stand by that episode. It was a good up. Can't complain. What was it? That was it was Hollywood, and Celine won for director. It's a good split.
No, should have both.
That's that. You know what, Josh? That's an Oscar. That's a regular Oscar year.
Doesn't
And
matter.
if you know,
Should have
if you
both. Also, there was that tie that you guys had between Pitt and Pesci, and then you ended up citing it for Pitt. I would have been the deciding vote to give it to Pesci.
I was originally Pesci, and then I think I was just like, give it to Pitt, whatever.
yeah, but you know what? In the record books, right here on the record, Brad Pitt's got that Oscar still.
He does.
So,
He's got
but I love
the
Joe
watchy.
Pesci. I love Joe Pesci in that movie. You know that. So,
That's a movie I need to watch again. I need to carve out a nice 3 hours and
would you guys nominate Closer in any other category?
maybe the Razzies.
Oh, Jesus, come on.
It's not that bad.
Not that bad, Jay. Well, I mean, do you want me to pull that up?
No, please don't. Please don't.
No.
Although there are.
It was the 25th anniversary of the Golden Raspberries this year. The winner for best.
I think this is one of our longer episodes
The
already.
worst picture was Catwoman. The
This is not worse than Catwoman. I will.
Alexander was the other. Super Babies, Baby Geniuses 2, Surviving Christmas, and of course Jay's favorite film, White Chicks. Those
Who
were
directed
the
White Chicks? Was that directed by a Wayans brother?
Keenan
I
Ivory
would assume
Wayans.
so, yes.
Keenan
Yeah.
Ivory
We'll do
Wayans.
his series soon.
Do you want to know, Josh? You remember this? Who won Worst Actor at the Razzies?
Do you want me to say?
Yeah, say it.
I believe that was George W. Bush.
Yep, for Fahrenheit 9/11. And then Halle Berry won for Catwoman. And then Worst Supporting Actor was Donald
Donald
Rumsfeld
Rumsfeld,
for
yeah.
Fahrenheit 9/11. And then Worst Actress was
Or
Britney
supporting
Spears.
actress,
Or
yeah.
Worst Supporting Actress was Britney Spears for Fahrenheit 9/11.
Which I remember at the time, it was like, oh, that's like kind of fun that the Razzies are like, oh, the worst performances are these political figures from this documentary. But
Nope,
that
it's not
then
aged
gave
well.
them the license to continue to do that for
Yep.
those like terrible Dinesh D'Souza films that, I mean, it made sense for Fahrenheit 9/11 because that was a huge cultural moment and it's like kind of fun to do so. But after that, they should have stopped. Like they should not have kept going with that. It was stupid.
This was the year Reagan died, too. And Marlon Brando. I'm looking at the in
Wow.
memoriam. Christopher
So
Reeves.
some mixed
But
feelings
in many
about
ways,
that.
he's been revived by Dennis Quaid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Been brought back to the fore.
Yeah. Josh, we've asked everybody on this series, so we might as well continue at the last second here to ask this, but for the whatever of the new administration,
Ryan, we did this with Josh already.
did we already do this with Josh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We did it on the main show.
Zach Levy.
Yeah. That's right. He said Zachary Levi. That's right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I try. Well, I've sometimes I forget. That's what you're here for, Jay. Thank you
That's
very
what I'm
much.
here for. I got to keep you on the tracks.
You wouldn't nominate Julia?
That's what I'm here for, to keep everything on the rails.
I think they pushed Julia, by the way, in lead.
They did.
If I'm not mistaken.
Her and Jude Law, they got pushed lead, and then Natalie
That's
Portman and Clark
silly.
Gable.
Absolute silly
Well,
sauce.
it is, but they're not going to run four people in the same category. I just understand, especially at this time, they weren't going to do that. And between them, Julia Roberts and Jude Law were the bigger names, so I get it. I don't agree with it, but from an awards perspective, I understand.
Yeah. I mean, I really like Julia in this movie, but I would not nominate her because there are other actresses from this year.
I agree.
Like we talked about on that retrospective episode that I mean, Nicole Kidman in Birth or Uma in Kill Bill 2. Like those are performances I much prefer. Julie Delpy and Before Sunset. Like I can go on and on.
Yeah. Now, if they were all run supporting, I actually think I would nominate Roberts over Natalie Portman.
Yeah. Or I should just kick out like either Laura Linney, probably Laura
This
Linney.
is
I
the
just
year
kick her
Fat
out.
Albert came out.
Would you not wait a
Very
minute?
true.
Sorry, Josh, I gotta ask. Jay, would you nominate Kenan Thompson for Best Actor for Fat Albert?
He might be my first out. He's probably sixth.
Very
Or
rare.
is Cosby, is he a writer on that? Can you get him an adapted screenplay
my God.
nomination?
Bum, bum, bam. Sorry.
He
Josh was-
wrote. He truly wrote this the screenplay. He was one of the guys.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
Jesus.
Well, there you go. He's
There
one
you
of your
go.
guys, isn't he, Jay?
Oh my God. Oh my God. No. No.
He's going to be our
Jesus.
first
Aren't you,
actor
Spirit-
series.
Yeah. I mean, you're going the petition. You got that going, right?
Jesus.
Free Cosby?
We gotta.
We gotta
think,
stop
I think
these
we
bits.
found the line.
Josh, last point. Josh, this was the last year a male actor was nominated in both actor and supporting, like double nominated, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Because we've had actresses
believe
before,
so.
right?
Yeah,
I
because
don't-
Scarlett Johansson just did it.
Yeah, for JoJo and Marriage Story,
Marriage
which we
Story.
talked about on that 2019 retrospective episode. I believe like somebody else did it, like in a year. Did Blanchett do it? No,
No, she did.
she did. Right?
Yeah, in 2007
Yeah, exactly.
for
Because she had,
Elizabeth and
I'm not there.
Yeah,
And we talked about that on the I'm Not There episode for the Todd Haynes series. Okay. All right. Just,
Yeah, but for male, I think
I
Jamie
think that's,
Foxx is the last one to
it's the last
do
one.
it.
Yeah. Are you ever going to get to that stage again?
That somebody's double nominated, or like
Yeah.
a man is. I mean,
Yeah. I don't
it
think that's going to happen
could.
again.
I mean,
Who's
it
going to
could
do,
happen. It depends. Like these, actors shoot a bunch of stuff all at the same time, and something can happen where they got a bunch of stuff out that, I'm sure that the studio will have to finagle it and say like this is actually fraudulently in supporting instead of two leads.
you mean
So
like how Jamie Foxx is
like
the lead of
with Jamie
Collateral?
Foxx, yes,
Like, and then he's
the
nominated.
full-on lead of Collateral.
Like, I would, and I think we did nominate Cruz. I believe
Yes, in
we did
supporting,
nominate for
yeah.
supporting. That was a good episode.
Which even that you can make an argument that he is also a
Like a
co-lead,
co-lead, like,
but he is, but Jamie Foxx is more of a lead of that
oh
movie
yeah,
than Tom
Oh
Cruise
yeah,
is.
big time.
yeah. Jay, you
Really
like
is
Collateral?
centered around him. Yeah, of course.
Jay, what do you like? Do you like the pictures of Michael Mann?
The moving images
Yeah.
created by Michael Mann.
Yes, sir.
Big fan.
Okay, Josh.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay. Well, we've rolled
I mean,
the dice. A lot
another
of this
very important
episode.
Chicago filmmaker. I have to say
That's true.
yes.
That's
Big
true.
Chicago guy.
Big Chicago guy.
We
Josh.
also have to claim Robert Zemeckis though, so there's that
Well,
too.
it's
Ooh.
the yin. It's the yin and the yang.
Yeah.
He had a great 2024.
He did not. Shut up. No, he did not. That movie sucks and you know it. You haven't even watched it yet, have you? Oh no, you did watch it.
No, I did. It's absolute garbage, in my opinion. I really wanted to like it. That seems like something that I would like, but his glossy, rubbery
He can't do it.
aesthetic is just he's broken as a director. He's done. He's cooked.
What I don't ever want to hear from you optimism for a new movie of his. You need to go.
I was genuinely like,
I know you were,
maybe.
and it was, and I told you flat out that's not going to happen. It's going to be bad, and then it was. So I think what you need to do is the opposite now. I think you need to go in thinking it's going to be bad, and then maybe potentially, like Marwin, you will find something in it that
a lot of here ride or diers though.
Yeah, and they're the most
Yeah.
insufferable human beings on the planet. Like, just
Look, I'm not there, but with that. But hey, look, if you got something that you're passionate about,
no.
Rage Against that Machine.
I'm
all for it.
I am the demographic that seems to be liking that movie, and I don't like it. So
I think that like there was a post some website did about like here's out on Blu-ray and it's better than all the Best Picture nominees. And I'm like, go to hell. Like literally stop. Like that's propaganda you're spewing. That's not fact.
I wouldn't say it's better than any Best Picture nominee.
No.
I would say that the distance between it and one of the Best Picture nominees is not as great as it is for some other people. Like I think that there is one movie.
but that speaks more to the badness of
Josh
that
just
movie.
slamming Nickel Boys here today. Good
Why
Lord.
don't you like Nickel Boys?
Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
messed up, Josh. Like
I mean, Honora
No,
wasn't.
yeah.
I mean, I liked Honora.
Yep, it was a Nora. Yeah.
There it is. There it is.
No, actually, the movie that it actually is not the one people think it would
Oh.
actually get mad at me for.
Is it the
Oh.
Bob Dylan one?
No, it is Dune Part 2 because I don't like Dune Part 2.
Yeah, there you go,
you're
Joshy.
in good company, Josh.
Yeah,
I-
that a
There-
boy.
you know what? You're looking for a fourth director? It's Villeneuve.
There, yeah.
There
he's,
you go.
He's right up there.
Ryan
One of
actively
the most overrated
dislikes
directors
Dune
working
2,
today.
and I think Dune 2 is totally fine.
I think that movie has a lot of problems, and I think that doing that series that we did kind of soured me on
That
the dude.
did Villeneuve no favors. I will say. I still think Arrival rocks the house.
that movie rocks, and
but-
so does 2049. But like,
Yeah, agreed.
I'm not gonna watch a
like
lot.
that movie either.
yeah, Josh.
Villeneuve is a great visualist, but he's a bad storyteller in my
I feel about Villeneuve how I used to feel about Christopher Nolan, and now Christopher Nolan has really won me
You've
over.
been Nolan pilled, buddy.
I've
and I respect it.
Nolan pilled.
I can't wait for you to watch Interstellar again and tell you that you were wrong.
Although,
great.
like, as
Oh,
far as
man.
great visualist, not the best storyteller, you could definitely give that to Tenet, and I'm like, Tenet is the best. Like,
Yeah.
anyway,
But Tenet as an experience, I think, is still to me better than most of Villeneuve's movies.
Hell yeah, yeah. He could. Here's the thing: Christopher Nolan could do Dune. Denis Villeneuve could not do Tenet.
I agree.
That's how you just know. You know what I mean? And I don't think he could even do Oppenheimer. Like, I don't think he could do anything that Nolan does. He's just discount Nolan.
I got to be honest, I'm kind of worried about the Odyssey.
I don't think you need to be worried about it. It's going to roll.
I don't care.
It's going to fucking roll. You know it. I know it. We all know it.
Anyway,
You do this
It
every
sounds odd
time.
for him to do it, but I'm all in.
He loves the movies of Ridley Scott. You're saying the movies of Ridley Scott are going to die? Nolan's making his Ridley Scott movie. Let him cook. If anyone has trust at a big budget level right now, it is that man.
I think Christopher Nolan needs to make his song to song.
Is To the Wonder?
Yeah.
Or is that Inception? Inception is To the Wonder. They're talking about it.
Less
Josh,
successful.
thank you so much for coming on this wild show with us today. Can you tell everybody where they can find you and all your work on the internet, and give the audience out there, buddy, a recommendation of the week?
You can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd at JR Parham. You can also find my work over at Next Best Picture and AwardsWatch. Recommendation, man. Trying to feel like what did I see? The past days have been a giant blur. Oh, you know what? There's a movie on Netflix that I just saw called The Shadow Strays. It is an Indonesian film, I believe, and it's like just a balls out, very violent action movie. And it was a lot of fun. It's a little long. It's like 2.5 hours. I don't think it needed to be quite that long, but a lot of great set pieces. Very, very fun movie to watch. And it is on Netflix right now. So yeah, go check that one out.
Love it. Jay, same stuff.
Yeah, Letterboxd J Ledbetter, Twitter at Mr. J Ledbetter. Any writing I'm doing over at AwardsWatch. Recommendation of the week. Just threw this on the other day. I think really a lightning in the bottle. One of the best romantic comedies of the 21st century. Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I think it's just so funny. I think it's so good. I just threw that on after the Super Bowl. Watched it. Had a great time. So go check that one out.
Die. Dying.
Oh,
Yeah.
my son really getting into the Muppets.
Oh, thank you.
I've been force feeding him some Muppets. That was gonna happen one way or another. So I'm glad it's finally happened.
Buddy, I'm so worried about the Muppets. You saw that
Yeah.
Disney World's going to, or Disney's going to get rid of them.
They're getting rid of. I was at Disney just a few months ago. Went to Muppet Vision 3D. It really felt like I was watching the Muppets die in real time, given the reaction of the people in the crowd. It was a bummer.
We have done that a disservice. Like we really,
I think that show is still really good.
No, but I'm just saying,
I
like
remember
in
seeing
the
that when I was, like,
culture.
5. Yeah, Disney has
Yeah.
obliterated.
Well, this is
the
what
Muppets.
happens when you give your shit over to Disney. Like they
They
grab
don't know
it,
what to do
they
with it.
commercialize it, and then they let it die slowly.
Weirdly, did you know that they're turning Rock and Roller Coaster into a Muppets coaster? So they're keeping the Muppets around.
Yeah, I just feel like one day we're never going to see the Muppets again, and it's just going to be really sad.
It's also entirely possible that the Muppet thing doesn't really work anymore. I think that's
the
possible.
Muppet thing. It's like for kids. It's for all of us.
But the Muppet thing is this very self-referential. It's about, it's doing a variety show thing that doesn't really exist anymore. So the Muppets may have just had their time, and I love the Muppets to death.
I don't know. I just feel like
maybe sometimes
they just don't. They used to. I don't know. It just it's sad. Maybe just It's
look. You're talking to somebody who even defends Muppets from space. So,
dude, buddy, it just breaks my soul. We should do a Muppet movie series.
You don't have to tell me twice.
That would be a lot of fun.
I just went in Atlanta. They have the Center for Puppetry Arts.
Oh man,
I saw the real Kermit.
Did you cry?
I saw Big Bird. Big Bird's big. Don't know if you knew this. Big Bird's big.
You think so? Is he like Big Mike?
Saw Elmo.
Yeah.
All of them. Fozzie, Gonzo.
Who's your favorite Muppet, Jay?
My favorite Muppet. God, it's like choosing a favorite child.
We only have one of those.
I do have a favorite child. That is true.
that he's admitted to.
My favorite Muppet.
I stumped him. This is
It changes by the day, but if you ask me right now, I'll say Gonzo.
yeah. I love Fozzie.
Love Fozzie.
Yeah. Josh?
I mean, it's obviously Miss Piggy.
There you go. There you go. That's great. Yeah. If you're listening out there, go watch a Muppet movie, like any of them.
Made it this far, yes.
Yeah, if you made it this far, go watch a Muppet movie. Just make
Yeah.
yourself feel better. Like they're just they're a part of our childhood. You know what I mean?
I know everybody says Christmas Carol, but honestly, the one that I watched the most was Muppet Treasure Island.
Treasure
Tim Curry.
Island.
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely, because
what
Tim
the wife
Curry
loves.
was my
Yeah.
favorite actor of all time when I was a child, and so I watched that one constantly.
Yeah. I gotta get those movies on some
I watched that one a
Blu-rays.
ton too. I think I had like a Muppet sing along VHS too.
Yeah. I don't want to
That
hear
was-
you sing though.
That was elite.
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Blue Sky at Ryan McQuade77. You can find all my work at awardswatch.com. If you like podcasts, we do the Awards Watch podcasts on Mondays on the main feed. iTunes, Spotify, 5-star reviews. We greatly appreciate that. While you're over on the website, please sign up for the newsletter. Yeah. Go watch Muppet movies. I'll give a TV recommendation. Because it's that time of the year to watch
The Muppet Office style TV show.
No, not that. Severance season 2. Severance is back. Jay, have you watched Severance? No?
I have
Josh?
not watched any of Severance.
Josh?
No, because
Severance?
I watch like 3 TV shows a year.
I'm
so-
with Josh on that.
Jay, I know you love The Leftovers. Josh, a Leftovers fan, right?
I saw the first season and I liked it, but
Lost fan?
The
I've
first
never
season
seen
of The
Lost.
Leftovers is like so far and away the worst season.
Yeah,
in my
because then you
opinion.
get to season 2 and season 3, and it has,
Season 1
literally-
is the book, which I've read, and it is so
Yeah. Okay.
dire. It's just so.
and then they get to
sad.
season 2, and it's actually like what Damon Lindelof. It's
Yeah.
actually a Damon Lindelof show at that point, and you're like, oh, this is good. And
Okay.
and then like
Well, that
the
makes
third,
sense that I didn't see it beyond the.
I
First
mean, I know
season,
you're.
but
I know you're not going to watch it, but just know that.
yeah,
I
just
have
know
heard it's
Josh.
very good, but like, it's hard for me to
I
commit.
think
to
that's
a
one of my
TV
favorite
show.
shows.
You also just want to see like Regina King and Carrie Coon act the fuck out of a show. It's second season's where it's at.
Yeah, I'm sure it's great, but like the one show I'm committed to right now is like Slow Horses, and that's 6 episodes. None of them are over an hour. It's very easy
Well-
to just fly through those. I love that show, but that's like the one show that I
get
can recommend to people because it's the only thing I watch.
I will say this: Severance on Apple TV Plus, so you already
know.
have the subscription, and it's great. I'd highly recommend it. Everybody, especially to my friend Jay Ledbetter here. This is a show like right up his
I've
alley.
heard. My brother the other day was like, "Dude,
It's like
why are you?" Not
he has to
watching
watch this.
show?"
This is like the new event. So like go out there and watch Severance. It's great. Next week we will be back for the final film in our Mike Nichols movie series. We still have obviously the bonus content episode, but it's the final film. We'll be talking about Charlie Wilson's War. Next week it's already going to be
His
done.
masterpiece.
Yeah.
You're going out with a bang.
Going out with a bang. Thank you, Josh, for coming on. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you all next time.